So Leute, ich grüße euch herzlich willkommen. Es geht gleich los mit der Show. Ich bin schon ein bisschen aufgeregt. Noch 1 Minute und 30 Sekunden. Ich freue mich natürlich am meisten auf Total War Warhammer 40k. Aber die anderen Spiele sind ja auch alle nicht schlecht. Ja. Und ich bin gespannt, was sie so noch für Total War Warhammer 2 vorbereitet haben. Das ist ja auch schon etwas älter, das Spiel. In 1 Minute geht's los. Oh, ich muss jetzt noch mal was trinken. Mal sehen, was Creative Assembly uns alles Schönes erzählen wird. Mein Englisch ist zwar nicht das Beste, aber ich werde immer wieder versuchen, euch das dann zu übersetzen. So ist ein Übersetzer. Ich muss sagen, beim letzten Event habe ich das ziemlich gut hinbekommen. Für die Rare. So.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first, maybe last, we'll see, but at least the very first
The confidence.
Total War show and tell.
Der ist genauso
some of you
nervös
who've
wie
been
ich.
around in the community for a while may remember the old "What the teams are working on" blogs. We thought about doing one of those, and then we thought maybe we could do something a bit more interesting. So we're here to effectively do a live version of them. We've got about 7 sections of this stream. You'll see some stuff down below, but Warhammer 3 has separate sections for updates, Shiva for Lords of the End Times. I'll say now, of anyone who's watched the Building Medieval 3 streams, you're going to see 2 very familiar faces very quickly. But that's kind of the vibe that we're going for here. So if you've come here expecting to see cinematics or highly polished assets, 80% of this was recorded by me at my home computer. So you're going to see some sneak peeks. You're going to see a lot of in development, a lot of rough stuff. But know that we're not going for high quality CGI trailers here. You're going to see some real behind the scenes developer footage. And we're going to start off. We've got a lot to go through, so we are going to speed through. We're going to start off with Medieval 3. So I'm going to swap us over.
So, mit Medieval 3 fangen sie an.
To our Medieval 3 section. Welcome. The only people who've really, apart from Roger, I guess, sat on these sofas. You're up first. Welcome to the show and tell.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, good to be here.
For those, so obviously we've done some Building Medieval 3 streams before. People in the audience may not know about that, but for those who haven't, or those who don't have a 2-month memory, who are you guys?
So I'm Pavel. I'm the game director on Medieval 3.
Hey everyone, my name is Leif. I'm the creative director on Medieval 3.
Fantastic. So I've spoken about the Building Medieval 3 streams, but what have we shown so far in Building Medieval 3?
So back in December, shortly after announce, we showed the campaign map for the first time, raw and unfiltered pre-production campaign, where we looked at some of the.
Also es gibt mehr Infos zur Kampagnenmap.
The building directly onto the map, as well as some other bits, and then we followed up with Siege. Siege battle, just
Belagerungen, also Belagerungsschlachten.
Settlements, which is a big topic for us right now, and some of the new bits of Siege gameplay. Yeah,
that's right. And the plan is that we do that. We drop the blog as well, recapping all of the conversations that we're having and the key topics from our forums. So please join the forums. There'll be a link up at some point.
Wieder der Hinweis, dass wir ihrem Forum beitreten sollen.
And yeah, we're looking to keep doing that. Yeah, so
fantastic. Well, I'll ask one last question, then we'll fully dive in. So, what is the current development focus?
Well, one of the exciting things we started since our last live stream was really to start looking into our unit rosters. We sometimes joke that we talk a lot about exciting features and new things and whatnot, but really what a lot of our fans are caring the most about is the unit roster.
Also Sie sprechen jetzt
So
mehr
it
über
was
den
a great time
Unit
to start
Roster.
looking into that in more detail. I'm not sure we ever mentioned it on stream, but one of the historical consultants we worked with last year is Professor Peter Wilson, who is an expert on the Holy Roman Empire, and we felt like, okay, this is one of the reasons why starting with the Holy Roman Empire is actually a good start. It's also, of course, a very interesting, let's say, melting pot.
Wäre schön, wenn Sie jetzt noch was vom Unit Roster zeigen würden.
So it was a good, let's say, first
Ich will meine Kanone haben. Medieval 3.
And just jump in because actually some additional context for those that haven't maybe joined us on
Hallo
the
Lepenki, grüße dich.
live streams is that we are in pre-production, so this is still a phase where we are pre-producing the game. We are looking at which features can fit, what can work, how can it work, and building the rosters and designing the rosters and for the factions that we want to feature in the game as part of that work. So just some context for those that maybe don't know where we are.
And I believe we'll be showing a little bit of roster from one of those factions, right?
Yep, we can start to just show sort of an overview.
Ja, hier
Don't
sieht
worry,
man mal ein bisschen mehr.
talk more in detail about things, but obviously it's a long process to really settle on the roster, and as Pat was saying, we are still very early, so there's a lot of disclaimers here that things will probably change in the upcoming future. It typically starts with sort of really the game design view on it, where we do a lot of research. Oscar, one of our most experienced battle designers in the franchise, has taken the helm on this roster specifically to really catch, let's say, the vibe of, okay, the Holy Roman Empire, if you think of the military formations of the time, like what are they really about?
Yeah.
And then we had a great opportunity recently to collaborate with Dr. Tobias Capwell, who's a former curator of the Wallace collection and sort of a really established coryphée, is that a word in English? A real established expert.
Yeah,
Coryphée
an
for the
expert,
German.
He's
a real expert
of armor.
Yeah, exactly, like a real expert and
an accomplished jouster.
Yeah.
accomplished justice.
Also das Heilige Römische Reich wird man wieder so kennen wie früher. Und wie wir hier sehen, umso
Yes.
And it is echoing onto the street.
tiefer es geht, umso mehr Rüstung haben die dann später auch.
It's a little bit.
And one thing worth mentioning here as well, that throughout pre-production, we've already mentioned two historical experts that we're working with. This is part of our process where we, as we develop, as we pre-produce, as we look at different new topics, cultures, we reach out to various advisors and historical experts within various fields to help kind of cover whatever blind spots we may have or reinforce the kind of research that we're doing. So it's part of that process. So these will not be the only names that we will be talking about during these streams.
We're just now starting to reach out to some experts for more the Arabian Muslim cultures and factions we'll be looking at. So there's more to come there for sure.
Fantastic. So, do you want to talk a little bit about this one? The next picture we have is a very big picture that we tried to fit on the screen.
Yeah, let's go with the next one because I think one of the key
Jetzt kommt das nächste
things
Bild.
that I hope our community feels excited about is that we are
Ist hier
moving
noch
away
nicht so
a little
viel.
from, let's say, the old school view of a faction roster. One of the things we talked a lot about in the first stream was us making sure that the world feels lived in, that there's a realness to the world responding to your
das kann man
actions, and you feel the
Mit dem
consequences.
Chat wegmachen, kann man das dann besser
And one of the
lesen?
things that
Nee.
always bothered me a little bit in the older games was that you would capture new territory and foreign lands, and the units you recruit are still largely the same, right? One of the cool things in Rome 2 was the auxiliary system, where you would capture Egypt and then you would start.
Wenn man das jetzt wenigstens alles lesen könnte,
auxiliary
aber
units in your army.
das kann man fast alles gar nicht lesen.
The world is responding
Dann müssten die in
my
4K
actions.
streamen.
There's strategic impact depending on what I conquer and when. It really influences the roster.
And as we've talked about this, this window to the world, this world feeling alive. The world is full of people. Population is a concept. We have cultures mixed. We wanted to find a way to represent that in a way that didn't feel too kind of contrived or.
Yeah.
I will say, so I can see people saying this isn't. They can't read it. They can't.
Yeah, that's on purpose.
They're not meant to.
You're not meant to read this. We'll look at a few detailed units in a bit. This isn't. You're meant to look at the colors. So what the colors are showing us here is everything that's red on the side. These are cultural units. That's one of the sort of major leaps we're taking with rosters here, where all the units in red are not technically part of the Holy Roman Empire.
Also die Farben, das sind die Einheitenkategorien.
Faction that captures territory with cultures that are part of these cultures would have access to these units. And because cultures can travel across the map, there's a lot of dynamism.
Korridormeister
here
Micha.
where, we'll talk about the Franconian unit in a bit. Like if you have access to Franconian culture, even playing as Poland, for example, you'd be able to have access to these units. And equally, me playing as the HRE, I might have access to these cultural units that are part of the, let's say, geography of these other
And it's
realms.
something you could pursue. You could.
Es gibt auch Kultureinheiten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then in yellow is possibly the most important part. These are the units unique to the Holy Roman Empire alone. Like no other faction ever has access to these units. And that's of course where we really lean into, let's say, the personality and the sort of really the vibe of the Holy Roman Empire.
Also bei Gelb haben wir besonders viel vom Heiligen Römischen Reich.
Down his headset a little bit more, we can still hear quite an echo. You can double check if it is his headset.
I
and take
just
it off.
talk over
Sounds
my,
like a
myself.
speaker somewhere, maybe.
It's yeah.
It's live and unplugged.
Yeah. We should also say there's a big forum post going live
Yes.
right now, or maybe after this,
Yep.
where there's a lot more detail about this.
I think we have this image in high res as well, so you can see the
Yeah.
detail of that. So if you can't read it now, don't
So
worry.
please check out that forum post. The last color I will call out is blue, which is what we call a faction block. So that's sort of a granularity layer a little bit below the faction, where say you have the Duchy of Saxony breaking off the empire in revolt. The blue units would be what that faction has access to. So that's sort of in the rough geography and block of a certain faction to give a bit more regional identity, right?
Yeah.
That if you have a revolt in France, they will have different units than a revolt in Germany, for example. The other bit you might see on this sheet are the little labels on the side in the top right corner. They're green, gray, and blue labels, and they are the population estates that these units are drawn from, something we will talk more about in the future.
Also ich hoffe, die nächsten Bilder, die sie eingefügt haben, kann man besser lesen.
On that forum post as well. But
Das
that's
kann man hier fast gar nicht lesen, ey.
what kind of people do you need to recruit these
Also
units?
ich kann es nicht.
Green is peasants, so that's your rural population. Gray is the townsfolk living in your cities, and blue is, of course, the nobles, as you would expect.
So yeah, so do please check out the forum post that we're dropping.
Yep.
If it's not live, it will be, because it goes into a lot more detail on our approach to factions. The roster designs, the cultures, the influences, all of it. So it's a really, really comprehensive write-up of our approach.
Have we covered all the colours of the rainbow?
I think so.
Okay. So should we talk about a few specific units there?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Das soll auch nicht lesbar sein, geht um die Farben.
Finally.
Finally, a bit closer zoom. So starting at the top picture is unit we're currently calling Ministerialis. Actually quite interesting when we started to look into units across Europe. There was this trend of, let's say, non-noble knights. Of course, the British yeoman or English yeoman. In Iberia, it's the villain knights, and in the Holy Roman Empire, it was the Ministerialis, essentially a class
Die
of,
sehen cool
let's say,
aus.
non-noble, more wealthy townsfolk, urban townsfolk, or estate owners who would essentially work as knights in service of the empire. And they're sort of a lighter version of the more classic knights. And you can see here the before and after is essentially our initial concepts on the left, and then on the right, after working with Tobias Capwell and his feedback, and of course, it's a little bit of a flex on our side here. How well we got it right at the beginning.
We got to play spot the difference.
Yeah, sort of the level of detail of the feedback. His main point of feedback was the chaussées and that really the calves ought to be protected, and that's where on the right you should see essentially the calves being protected by chainmail.
I have to squint, but yes, it's there.
Also die sehen deutlich besser aus als wie damals in Medieval
below
2.
is the Constafflers. So that's the unit that we currently sort of see as unique to Franconian culture. And it's of course a topic we talk a lot about. Okay, what is faction unique? What is cultural? But it really felt like sort of deeply rooted in the mercantile traditions of Franconian, the wealthy Franconian cities along the River Rhine and whatnot.
Also das mit den Einheiten, das wird alles stark nach den Kulturen gehen.
Militia in service of the rich patricians of these cities and protecting these towns, and occasionally being drafted into the armies of the empire. You can see quite a bit of change here that we did after the feedback from Toby, calling out that these helmets, they wasn't really part of like let's say, the wealth that would be attributed to these units really is calling for better facial protection and these iconic helmets that are quite, let's say, unique to the German fashion, with the facial visors and whatnot.
I've seen people trying to work out, especially in that top right one, what the differences are. And I know you called out the calves, but for me it's the split between the legs.
That's a little an animation consideration rather than, but yes.
Yeah.
And also there's obviously the QR code on screen, so do please.
I believe that post is now live.
Fantastic. So so do follow that QR code, not just to see the post that details our approach to rosters, but also just to join the community and see everything else that we're talking about.
And I think these constaffers are a good example as well for like when you as another faction capture territory. Let's say you're playing as Poland, you capture parts of the HRE. That's really where you get some of the vibe of the local fashion across, where one of the things we're really keen on is pronouncing regional fashion differences in armor. There's a great video by a YouTube channel, Lorica Design, I think it's called.
Also die üblichen Fraktionsfarben, die wird es wieder geben, aber mit einigen Unterschieden.
That's what I love about this approach, because it's the replayability value as well. When you're playing maybe the same faction, you take it in a different way, interact with different cultures, different regions, decide to expand in a different way. You will have a different experience in terms of the roster and the units that are exposed to you. Exactly, I think it makes it feel far more integrated, part of the world that living kind of world.
I saw Medieval Kingdoms 1212 in the chat as well, saying that they'll have a think about have a consult with their team about the accuracy, but they thought it looked great there. Are we ready to show our third unit? So this is the last unit we have for the stream, and then we've got a couple of other little bits.
So ein Bildchen bekommen wir noch.
Yeah, I mean, it's of course the Imperial Knights of the Empire, sort of the thing you look forward to.
Imperiale Ritter aus dem Heiligen Römischen Reich.
It's a little bit more elaborate in that forum post that these units are really having different equipment upgrades through the centuries that evolve the unit. We're looking here at a more later era.
Der links in der Mitte sieht sehr merkwürdig aus hier mit seinem komischen Rock.
Yeah, some of the things that I talked about, like the iconic armor fashion within the German region, with the Kastenbrust, which was more pronounced on the left. And then after Toby's feedback, we built in a little.
Der sieht so merkwürdig aus.
Some of the more slimmer designs with these sort of these rifts, not rifts. Sort of
ridges.
Ridges. Yeah, thank you. Contours. Yeah.
Using Z.
So, and I would expect that the different geographies would really carry a lot of that regional fashion. And our goal is that they would look very different from heavy Italian knights, for example, or Iberian knights.
Something you mentioned, accuracy, something that's worth calling out as well in the forum post.
Vielleicht sind das alles Sie.
Our approach. So how do we actually conduct the research? What are we list some sources with regards to our research. So we kind of lift the veil a little bit on that.
So much like the Building Medieval 3 streams, if you want to get involved and talk more about what you've seen here, go to the forums. There's plenty of opportunity to do. I think Life, you've written up a very, very long post detailing.
Exactly.
Ich sehe schon kommen, Medieval 3 mit weiblichen Rittern.
The process is there, the research, the references.
So consider this the 20-minute section, the short version of our approach to rosters.
And I think that it's also something where we really look forward to some feedback and thoughts from the community about this approach, moving away from the faction roster and more to almost like a regional roster, cultural rosters, if you will.
Dynamic rosters.
And of course, if there are any, let's say, cultural iconic formations that people definitely want to see, it's great to feedback on in the forums.
For sure.
So I think we're going to be moving on to questions now. There's one question I can see from the community, which was how many of the team working on Medieval 3 are very familiar with Medieval 2 and understand, why it's still considered so great?
I think we talked about this in the first stream, right? A lot of our team are, let's say, big fans of the old games. Not many has worked on it. I mean,
two of us have. Nick and I have.
Yeah, Nick and you. But definitely a lot of fans of Med 2 and some other historical games, of course. And a lot of, let's say, hobby historians. I think we mentioned this before as well. Like I named up Oscar. He's definitely really invested into the era. Luke, of course, and a lot of others.
We have fans of Med 2 that played Med 2
I think
as
we all are,
before joining us. Yeah, as well.
You joined me on my famous Let's Play where we failed the Crusade on the last turn. Okay, so we're going to move on to some community questions just so we can keep. We've only got 2 minutes left, and we're definitely going to take more than 2 minutes.
We're going over time.
So you guys flagged this yesterday in that we wanted to start off answering one of the biggest questions from the last stream, which was what's the progress on ladders.
Yep.
You guys, we said we're going to give you in development rough footage.
Doesn't get rougher than this.
And we live up to our promises. So this is already even since the last stream.
Jetzt zeigen sie noch ein bisschen Videomaterial. Muss sie aber gleich rausschmeißen.
Zero of carried ladders, and it shows how early this is. But yeah, there we go. This is progress since the last stream in terms of ladders.
I like it when they start to dance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Da habt ihr eure Leitern wieder.
Matteo, who are currently working on this, and I think the sort of hey, the stream is about what we're currently working on. This is something everyone cares a lot about. We are just working on this, starting to work on this. Let's show where we're at.
Allerdings noch ohne Bewegungsanimation. Ach nee, der hatte eine.
Why is this such a big topic? There's of course lots of micro and macro challenges around ladders.
Yep.
Starting from the animation connection, like how they're holding it.
Okay, die haben noch keine. Doch einer hat eine
How are
Bewegungsanimation.
they pathfinding whilst holding the ladder around various obstacles?
What happens if a unit gets attacked?
Ja, aber wir bekommen die Leitern wieder zurück, ne?
It's not necessarily
Wir haben nicht mehr die Hosentaschenleitern.
stuff, we have to work.
And this speaks to a common theme that you'll hear from us, and we've mentioned time and time again that this is we've had carried ladders in Medieval 2. That's a long time ago. We are rebuilding a lot of the core features from the ground up in the Walker engine. So things that may have existed in past Total Wars no longer do, and we have to re-engineer and rework them within the context of the new engine. And these are challenging things.
They are. Well, so I'm going to fire at you then. We've got 5 questions, and then we'll wrap things up. Some of these very quick. Will you be keeping the debug cam that allows you to see inside towers and keeps? Before you answer, I'll just caveat where these came from.
Yep.
We trawled through the last stream and the previous Building Medieval 3 stream. We found some of the most common questions from those. That's what I'm pitching at you guys. Mm-hmm. So, will you keep the debug camera
Ja, das haben sie ja beim letzten Mal gezeigt.
which is, I think, the camera on screen right now?
Yes. So this isn't. Yeah. The intention is that this isn't a debug camera. This is the intention. We want to show you inside the towers. And what we ship with will be a more refined version of what you're seeing here. Yep. So it's definitely our intent.
We showed this internally at a larger meeting a while ago, and one of our directors in franchise came up and said, "Oh, this is so cool! This reminds me of the old medieval books as a child. Opening it up and seeing through. Right? Yep. This is exactly the vibe we're going for here, and ideally, visually, we could get some of that treatment where it feels like you're weaving away essentially a layer and you look within, but the goal is to keep that view.
Yes, for sure.
Next up, I think we have a question we saw maybe once or twice. Are there any plans for naval battles?
Yes, this is definitely a topic that keeps coming up.
Jetzt geht's Seeschlachten.
Fans are really keen to have in the game. It's something that we absolutely would like to see in Medieval 3. So it's not really a question of if, more of a question of when.
Yep.
As I mentioned previously, we are rebuilding a lot of the kind of features from the ground up. So naval battles, as we remember from Thrones, no longer exist in the engine. So it's something that we have to rebuild. And our focus currently is on the core of the experience. It's the land battle gameplay. It's the campaign gameplay. So at the point when sieges, of course, So at the point when naval can kind of stand up to those in terms of quality, then yes, they'll find a place, even if that means after release. But it is definitely something we'd like to see in Medieval 3.
I guess it's as we've seen on the streams as they've been so far. There's a focus on if we're adding in a feature, it's to be intentional and to have depth to it. We wouldn't want to add in loads of features at a shallow level. It's making sure the ones that we have really feel like a good.
And this
simulation.
is what pre-production is all about. It's looking at all of these elements, prioritizing them, seeing what kind of combination of elements can we get done in the time to the quality that we intend. So this is what all of this is about.
So. A quicker answer maybe for the.
Das war jetzt eben etwas schwammig ausgedrückt zu den Seeschlachten. Hat das noch einer
Can
mitbekommen?
you explain why it's mechanically so hard to path your units through narrow streets, and what steps have you taken?
Well, it's sort of similar to ladders a little bit, where you think about all of our entities, they essentially pathfind themselves, right? So they have to synchronize among themselves.
They have collision, they have mass, they have animations that all have to interact with each other and everything else.
Yeah, and then you might have situations where, it's getting attacked on one side, how are the other entities within that unit now pathing along that corner? So it's, again, more of
Das hatten sie auch schon mal gezeigt. Also man soll ja auch wieder mehr auf der Kampagnenkarte bauen können. Also halt eben auch Sachen auf der Kampagnenkarte platzieren können. Wie zum Beispiel eine Burg oder so. Wir sind hier in Total War Livestream. Hier gibt es News für die Spiele, die alle unten aufgelistet sind.
It's something that we're currently looking at, yes. So it's as with everything else, we don't know if it's going to work. It's something we'd like to investigate because obviously castles are a thing. So we're looking again. It's all of those challenges of tight spaces and more all in one. So it's it's something that we're exploring. We're not sure if we can make it work yet, but it's definitely something we're looking at.
That being said, just this morning, we had a good design discussion actually around castle sieges, looking into, let's say, different versions of it. The goal here for us is really to make sure it's not just a small siege battle, but there's a different sense of what the battle is about. Like the land battles are all about the lines and the tree, and sieges are of course about the walls and the streets. How can we get sort of really a unique twist on the formula
that works in the context of the campaign and the armies that you field? So all of those things that we have to take into account. But again, that's the beauty of pre-production. We get to experiment with these things, and see what sticks.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much for coming on and talking through that. I have one last question for you, which is a question I will be asking every single developer guest we have on. When will we be hearing from you next?
June. So look out for a blog. We're prepping a blog that hopefully have some exciting stuff in there for everyone, and then we're looking to stream again. Stream campaign, likely campaign in June.
Brilliant. Well,
also nächsten Monat gibt es mehr News zu der Kampagne.
Everything we've just said. You'll see there's no camera here, so you two are free to skedaddle now. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.
When we come back, we're going to have a new guest and a new topic of conversation. But as a summary there, you can see everything we've just discussed. This page is going to grow as we go through our topics. But in the meantime, as our new guest gets seated and avoids just the numerous hanging things we have from the ceiling, I'm going to ask if they're good. They're good to go? Okay, let's move on to Rome 2.
Jetzt geht's weiter mit Rom 2.
Welcome, Jack.
Auf einmal sitzt da ein anderer. Alle schon voraus aufgenommen.
We've solved the echo. The TV that we've been using had audio on.
Well, I heard it was like Ducks Under. It's like, TV speaking.
I can't believe we figured that out. I can't believe the audio was on. Welcome, Jack. So, this is the kind of the surprise of the announcement of this stream. We've spoken before about we want to go back and update some of our historical titles. What is the aim? So I'm surprised. I guess it's you who's at least for Rome 2, if not more, heading up that initiative. What's the aim of going back and over these updates?
So, yeah, really fun. I have a new role within Creative Assembly of being the back catalogue product owner for Total War, which is very much managing all of our older historical titles, looking at opportunities with them, including, where possible, making updates.
Yeah.
The first of these is Rome 2. And here it's the goal of having a series of free updates to the game that improve battle gameplay, campaign gameplay, doing some visual improvements as well as some bug fixing that I'm calling the Pantheon updates.
Yep.
That will come together as a nice big thing.
Also für Rom 2 machen sie ein Quality of Life Update.
Right, it's going back and it's providing gameplay updates, bug fixes.
Yeah, definitely some bug fixes in there. It's not new content. Some of the changes, particularly in campaign, will change some of the content there, but it's very much using the existing building blocks. There's no new units, no new factions, no new campaigns, no new DLC.
So we're refining the game that's there, right?
Free improvements.
And I think maybe the second surprise for people then is this isn't an update.
Yeah, it is multiple. So the way this is planned is that it will be a public beta that grows over time before fully releasing to everyone. So we'll start with Mars, with improvements to battle gameplay. This is covering things like making morale and flanking and terrain more important.
Also das sind so diese Schreine, die man bauen kann bei den Römern, und die sollen mehr Boni bringen.
Venus, which is on visuals, which will include
bei Mars auf die Schlachten, bei Venus auf die Visuals und bei Jupiter auf die Kampagne.
And then finally Jupiter, which is chief of Roman gods, so it's the campaign gameplay. So big improvements there. Big focus is on making the gameplay systems remain relevant throughout the game. So, we know Rome 2, only player seat is quite easy after the initial 30-40 turns. So here it's about making sure that public order remains relevant throughout, replenishment remains relevant throughout, and that there's a greater sense of progression and challenge going forward. So improving building trees, making tech trees more.
Gibt es denn später Tempel, ne? Ich weiß es nicht mehr bei Rom 2. Ich glaube, am Anfang sind das nur so eine Schreine und später sind das so eine großen Tempel.
After a period of time, Venus will get added to it, then Jupiter, and then finally it will all go live for everyone as the Pantheon update.
Jack, you're a very lovely, soft-spoken man. I'm not, so you may have to speak a little louder, just to match my level of constant noise. So I've got 2 questions before we move. We're going to show some stuff, right? But how are you approaching mods? That's maybe the number one question I've seen from the community when we announced this.
Absolutely. We know many people are playing mods on Rome 2. A lot of very popular mods out there. A lot of people get a lot of value out of them. Well aware that coming back to the game, doing these big updates is going to cause problems with mod compatibility. So first off, that long public beta and a single update, it means there is one occasion where the mods are being broken for everyone, because it will be big data changes. But also that longer beta means more time as well for modders who are still active to get hold of the changes ahead of time, start preparing their mods to be updated. And then for mods, of course, that won't be updated because many mods have moved on, they're not active anymore. We're going to have a pre-Pantheon version of the game available as a beta once that update goes out. So if you've got an older mod you still want to play, go back to that older version of the game, play it for as long as you want.
So the game that exists today, you'll always be able to play. But you can, if you choose, opt in.
Also die Mods werden weiter funktionieren.
And then modders who want to come and update, they have the opportunity to do so.
Die Mods werden wir noch weiter unterstützen.
Are we going to be able to discuss today?
So today we're going to look at a brief snippet of each of the updates, focusing mostly on Mars, then a bit of Venus, then a bit of Jupiter. But there is a lot of lovely information now on the forums that is ready for people to dive into.
Fantastic.
As well.
So let's start off with Mars, right? So we're just going to cover a few bits from the update today, but as you've just said, on that link you've put up is it a whole forum or a forum post? Or both?
Both. So there is now a Pantheon update section of the Rome Eras forum, where in that main one there's a long post detailing the overall purpose of the updates, like what the goal of them is, why we're returning to Rome 2, and details of each of the updates like Mars, Venus, Jupiter. And then there's sub-forums for each of the different updates of Mars, Venus, Jupiter, where there's a little summary again of what's in them, and then a more detailed post in each area. Which I'll come back to you, because that's sort of what we're talking about today.
Yes, so battle is quite a difficult one for us to show visually. So you've spoken about flanking, morale, fatigue, damage, armor. This one, so what we've got here is unit spacing, right?
Yeah, so as part of improving battles, I wanted to look at how to improve readability as well and help with that recognition of units from a distance. So at the top is 3 Celtic units in the game right now. You've got Levy Freemen on the left, then Spear Warriors in the middle, Spear Nobles on the right. And the only unit you can really tell that's different is the Levy Freemen, because they're bare-chested. They stand out from distance. The Spear Warriors, the Spear Nobles, you can't really tell them apart. So what's being done with the Pantheon updates is across all different unit types, there is now sort of a basic, a standard, and elite variation in the spacing of the units. So you can see at the bottom the Levy Freemen are very quite spaced out, they're much more varied in their spacing. The Spear Warriors are a bit mixed, and then the Spear Nobles are much more uniform in their positions. So just at a distance you can more easily see, oh, those guys are a bit disorganised, they're probably some cheap chaff units. Oh, those guys, they're really organised, I should probably be worried about them. Just that extra bit of recognition at a distance.
Which is something we see in more modern Total War titles, right?
Also die 3 Pantheon-Änderungen wirken sich auch auf die Einheiten und Formationen aus.
Whereas here it wasn't in Rome 2 at first, and now it can be done. It's something mods have done as well at times.
Also Mars, Jupiter und so weiter.
So we can talk about damage formula if you're interested.
Yes, this is going to get
for those of you who love charts.
Technical. So, armor and damage. How it works right now is a little odd. So you look at something like melee attack versus melee defense, and it is a linear.
Hier geht es jetzt den Rüstungsschaden.
Melee defense goes up, chance of anyone hitting you goes down linearly. Armor, not really, as you can see from the chart. It sort of curves and tails off a bit. Because there's 2 aspects to damage and armor. You've got base damage and you've got armor piercing damage. Base damage can be negated by armor, but armor piercing damage can't. But the way armor negates damage is that you take the unit's damage armor value, so say it's got 60, and you do a dice roll between 0 and 60. And then whatever that value is, because it could be 0, it could be 60, it could be 12, it could be 38. you take that away from
Corridor.
base damage. So sometimes you'll take off part of the unit's base damage, sometimes you get rid of all of it, sometimes you get rid of none. So it's quite varied. But then armor piercing damage doesn't get affected by armor at all. So there's always some base amount always going through. And that means you end up with that chart that, like, towards the end, as you get more and more armor, it's just getting a much greater range of what the armor is doing. So it's just not
Also es gibt eine Überarbeitung des Schadens sowohl mit als auch ohne Rüstung.
The top chart looks more like a
Also sowohl
bracket,
normal als auch
something
rüstungsdurchdringend.
understandable. So I guess we spoke about how hard it is to visualize battle changes,
Yeah.
right? But I guess the vibe you're going for is that battles feel more authentically understandable.
Yes,
You've got
exactly.
more armor, you're going to take less damage, unless there's armor piercing involved and blah blah blah. Whereas before, it's the systems underlying it actually weren't as predictable or as understandable as they felt.
Yeah, because we always like to have some randomness in our battles, just because, one thing we've always tried to do is, like, even the basic peasant has a chance maybe to kill a king. So we allow a bit of randomness for that, but we want it to be predictable randomness, as it were.
Yeah.
So with the changes, it's twofold. So armor is no longer a straight numerical reduction to
And,
damage.
sorry, just what are the axes here?
Oh, sorry. So down the left axis, I
Yeah.
can't remember which is the X and the Y. I should know that, but I don't. The left axis is average damage done, and on the right is armor value. So you can see that as the armor goes up, it's a linear decrease in the after.
Oh yeah.
It's not exactly linear because this is based on 10 simulated damage rolls.
Right.
So there's a bit of randomness in
Right,
damage
yeah,
rolls. So, but if it was like, if you did enough rolls, it would be
perfect,
perfectly linear. So what we've done is armor is now a modifier to damage. So let's take that 60 armor unit, right? Instead of it being a roll between 0 and 60, it rolls between half the armor and the full armor, so between 30 and 60. It then converts it into a multiplier to damage. So you roll the full 60, you're doing a 60% reduction to the base damage you're taking. If you roll 30, it's a 30% reduction. Nice and simple. So that means you get a nice linear increase, makes damage more relevant.
Yep.
Armor piercing damage now is also now affected by armor. So same thing, armor becomes a modifier, but here it's half the impact it has on regular base damage.
Yep.
So you get that 60% reduction to your base damage, it's only a 30% reduction to your armor piercing damage. Which again, armor piercing still got a lot of use. And a lot of these values will also be possible for the modders to play about in the database, like what is the max reduction armor can have on damage. There's still a base damage value in there just to allow for those situations. And there's also some changes talked about in the forum post in addition to this.
So anstelle dann von WordSafe wahrscheinlich und anderen.
Which is a really beloved system.
Yeah, so it just allows for that, that chance of like the arrow in the eye, that kind of stuff. So that even from the first volley, you're seeing regular soldiers dying, and there's more predictable patterns of rate of casualty.
And I think that's where we're seeing some of the, it's not content, but some of the stuff coming in that's beloved or favourite features from more modern titles being able to come back into Rome 2 through stuff like that. Yeah,
because I think an important point to make as well is that the who's working on the updates is me. Yeah. It is a team of one. So Rome 2 has one of its advantages is that
Also der Ansturmschaden, der soll da auch noch mit reinfließen, der soll auch noch geändert werden.
With the visuals, you see stuff taken from other games.
As we will see momentarily.
Yeah, so it really maximizes what the impact I can have as a single developer.
So, are there any other changes you'd want to talk about before we wrap up Mars and we give a sneak peek of what the other two updates could look like?
Just to say that the real focus on Mars is about increasing the importance of tactics, terrain, and flanking, making it so that it's just that greater impact. You might see in titles like Shogun 2 or Attila or Three Kingdoms.
And those of you who, I think for me, the most I'm looking forward to, and we'll do another deep dive at some point in the future where we go through these more. But for me, flanking, I think, is the big one. Exactly. When we did the Rome 2 stream and I flanked and Pav went, that does nothing. Yep. I was like, why have I all this work? So it's going to be all that. For me, when I've read through the updates, because obviously we shared this already with some experienced players and we got their feedback on it. They seemed very receptive. So thank you to everyone who participated in that.
Absolutely.
For me, I think it is stuff that things that I thought worked or were happening now will happen and now will work, which is fantastic.
I mean, to be fully honest, a lot of these are changes that I made in Emperor Edition that I'm now reverting or changing in different ways. So
there's time and learning.
It's time and learning. It's refining it and making it a better game.
So when are we next going to hear about Mars?
So Mars, there will be posts on the forums
Yeah.
over the coming months, going into details in various areas. So one already on the.
Jetzt geht es wieder um den
changes.
Mars.
Next, possibly talking about changes to charge reflection.
Yeah.
Or expert charge defense. But on stream, probably June.
Medieval 3 war eben schon.
Things are going to be flexible in timing.
Brilliant. We're going to have a very sneak peek at Venus then, but
Yeah.
I will say next time we bring on a chart, I will make sure I don't crop out the axes. Okay, so this is Venus, and this is a taste of some of the visual improvements.
Yeah, so.
So, jetzt
Venus,
zeigen uns jetzt
main
etwas zur
visual
Venus.
are the UI reskin, which is not ready to be shown yet, and the campaign textures, lighting,
Oder beziehungsweise Kampagnen-Map.
So, when we go back to the before, you'll see how Rome 2 is.
Ich mag die Siedlungskins nicht bei Rom 2.
Well, despite its age, but there's other bits like the water doesn't look great nowadays, some of the textures don't look great. With the lighting, the settlements, the characters can blend in a bit more. And now, brand new sea texture, redone sea colour, brought back better textures from Troy and Pharaoh to the game, because we've got those lovely games to take advantage of. And I will note they're the same resolution of textures, so they won't have any performance impact. The lighting's been changed just to give a more consistent feel, better contrast.
Also so ist es bevor und so sieht es dann danach
That's one of the big
aus.
ones. Like, one of the things that I like to do is look at the
Mit dem
game
Fokus
ratio.
auf Venus.
What happens when you remove the color? What stands out?
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure that, sure, the UI, this is without UI, so you can have UI labels highlighting things, but you still want the characters and the armies and the settlements to stand out.
Venus soll ja für die Kampagne auch
Especially
Änderungen
when you go
beinhalten.
from the after to the before, you can
but
really
I
see
forgot
the
to add a
difference.
fade, and that not adding that fade really helps emphasise the
Yeah,
difference,
it's like-
especially in the lighting. Any second.
Yeah, this is the awkward way.
There we go.
Yeah, you can see the difference.
All right, so
Yes, das ist ja was Neues für Rom 2.
Talk through two more bits. So we're going to give a little preview of Jupiter.
Yes.
Jupiter's it looks to be quite expansive on the campaign side.
Oh,
So even now we've got it's we're not going to go too deep into these, but we'll explain like the philosophy behind them of
Yeah.
two building trees,
Yep.
which up until today I've been calling tech trees, and Jack has increasingly been patient with me. I've just said it over
Yeah.
and over again.
so building trees. The aim here is sort of basically going
Jetzt kommt
Emperor Edition
Jupiter.
made some key changes to building trees, where prior to Emperor Edition, temples could only go up to level less than the major settlements and minor settlements. There were differences between major and minor settlements in other ways. There wasn't many choices, so it tried to equalise that out.
Yeah.
But this is basically going, we didn't go far enough in Emperor Edition.
Ja, und hier sehen wir jetzt einen komplett neuen Gebäudebrowser.
Where currently, Rome 2, you have separate chains for recruitment and bonuses, which is fine, but it does mean that you need to choose a different slot to do it.
Geht
and
jetzt auch bis Stufe 5 und nicht bis Stufe 4.
Training chain, the one that gives you more bonuses to your unit types, is a separate chain. You're not getting as much from it. So one of the things that's been done is combining the two.
Also das sind jetzt hier nur Militärgebäude, ne? Aus dem Gebäudebrowser.
Important thing that barracks will do from now on is they will not just give you units, they'll give you recruitment slots, because I'm looking at
Und wann kommt Uranus?
slot, like turn 1 as Rome at the moment you get something like 7 units available at a time. It's a bit much, but it also give you army cap, because the army cap, agent cap, navy caps increases from
Nee, es gibt nur Venus, Mars und Jupiter Änderungen.
You want more armies, build a barracks.
Yeah. That makes sense, right? You've got to have something
Exactly. So as you go through this, the top two
Mars
branches,
war für die
different
Schlachten
units, so it's got still the
und Venus war eben für die Kampagne-Map.
give you regular Roman units or auxiliary units. Some units will be moved from the barracks chain though to the main settlement just to help the AI out. So it's got a bit more varied what you can recruit without even having a barracks available. And then if you want to, you can choose to specialise this chain more into buffing your units, the practice field. So it'll still give you your increased army cap, it'll still give you increased recruitment slots and the units you've got from that basic field of Mars. But then...
Dom, our TV's going to turn off.
No!
Keep going. Not that one, not that one. That one.
That one.
Keep going.
And then, so the practice field will then give experience bonus to units, and it will give you champions, because this is where champion caps increase.
Yeah.
And then further, you can choose to specialize into bonuses and different unit types. So
Also Champions soll es nach wie vor geben und Malucato kann ich nicht sagen.
For melee infantry units. So that has decreased slightly in the variations, but
Yeah.
want to give it like
Und Champions sind ja in Rom 2 diese Agenten.
So we'll look at one more set of these,
Yep.
and then I have seen some questions. I don't know if you have an answer. I've seen quite a few questions asking about 64-bit.
Jetzt kommen wir zu den anderen Gebäuden.
Like we know it's one people are looking for, would like, especially people who use mods where they're
Und da geht es sogar bis
but it's not part of these.
Stufe 6 geht es da sogar.
So what are we looking at here?
So this is one where
Mit dem Kolosseum.
combined and then split. So in the base game of Rome 2, when it launched, there was this city centre chain in major settlements that did both trade income and public order and entertainment and research.
Nein, keine legendären Lords.
Yeah.
And then
Gleich
for
kommt
addition,
Warhammer.
we added a town centre chain for minor settlements that gave some trade income and some public order and some entertainment. But they're both doing variations the same, and also that's a lot of different things for the city centre chain to do. So here it's combining and then splitting. So there is now a public forum chain and a market chain that are available in both major and minor settlements. So big change is that generally major minor settlements, they can build
Also die haben für Rom hier wirklich den gesamten Gebäudeprosa geändert, ne?
options. So the forum chain is all about entertainment, public order. So that top two ones, you've got Auditorium and an Odeon. Then it splits into one chain that specialises a bit more in income, one that specialises a bit more in public order. And this is the kind of branches you're going to see more, where bonuses remain throughout, but later branches sort of specialise in one or the other, and you're making that choice.
Es gibt jetzt weniger Gebäude, aber dafür geht es bis Stufe 6.
Dignitaries, that's where you can increase your dignitaries cap. And then separately, there's a market chain, which then splits into 3.
Zumindest
So
oben
wine
beim
trader,
Forum.
which will require the wine resource and give you a lot of money.
Das endet beim Kolosseum auf Stufe 6.
Not to that yet. Then you've got the delicatessen chain that will give you a little bit of food, but a lot less income. And it's probably where spies will come from for the Romans.
Yeah.
And then finally, you've got a slave trader, which will give you slave income and keep the regular trade income from the lower branches as well. So it's all that, like, clearer options, clearer focus, more depth to the chains as well.
And that's just a taste. So these last sets were just more of a preview of some of the stuff. But once we've got Mars out, then we'll come back to Venus, back to Jupiter. We'll come talk to you more. But we wanted to give you guys a taste of just the level of depth and detail that we're going into for all of these systems.
Like with Jupiter, if you go on the forums now, all the other building chains the Romans are
Was, ihr geklaut demnächst auch für Rom 2? Nee.
Well then, Jack, when will we hear from you next?
So next will be on the forums with more posts in the run-up to in the coming months, because there's not currently a defined timescale for when the first of these betas will go live. It's going to be playing it by ear because a lot of it is work is being done by me, so it's taking when the stuff is ready. But we're looking at a live stream in June to show Mars and hopefully battle gameplay live.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to throw up the summary then, hopefully. Thank you very much for coming on, Jack. Really appreciate your time. Everyone loved your suit. You are free to disappear, and if you can shake the mouse on that PC, we will move on for our next guests. You're sitting there, I think, and you're sitting
Mehr wird man uns im Juni
so on screen
zeigen.
now, you can see everything we've spoken about so far on stream. We're going to hope I'm right with where I just told you to sit, because I can't move these names. Okay, we all good? Right. Let's say hello.
Jetzt kommt Warhammer.
Hey, I was right. Hello, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Let me get rid of that bit of paper. So, Rich and Sean, first time on the sofas. I mean, we've only done 3 streams of it, so you know, good. For anyone who doesn't know who you guys are, maybe Rich, you starting. Who are you, and what do you do for Warhammer 3?
I've been here a while. I'm the game director for Total War Warhammer. I've been working on the series for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Sean?
I'm the associate design director. I've been on the series for Amiga like 8 years.
Oh,
embarrassing.
pathetic.
Embarrassing. Apologies.
So we have 3 sections within this section. I did initially try and see if I could get it on that bottom bar, but it was that is graphic designed by me, so that is the height of what I can achieve. So we're going to start by talking about updates to the game, and then we're going to talk about Vishiva, and then we're going to talk about Lords of the End Times, and I'm so consciously not trying to say the name of the person that will be revealed as part of that.
Also es geht jetzt erstmal die KI, Belagerungen,
Thank you. I'm doing my best.
Tigermenschen und dann End Times.
Campaign.
Yeah.
I hope. There we go. So, campaign AI update.
Yeah, we've been doing lots of updates to various things. On the campaign AI specifically, there's been some tooling going on in the background, so that's going to help us address some of the issues that players have been seeing around idling AI and clustering around settlements.
Also in Update 8.1 geht es KI-Prioritäten.
So we've tried to. We know that a lot of these things. So we'll be doing it again with the Siege update next. A lot of these things, the community are. We've explained a lot of what we're doing while we're doing it. We want to start giving you guys some dates and update numbers at least to be able to expect this in. So 8.1 is the aim for this.
That's right.
The key change I wrote, and that's the first time you're seeing it, which was me writing it based on notes. So AI priorities, which have I misspelled?
Yeah.
Stimmt, wie die Rabe. Ich erlebe es gerade selber wieder.
Campaign.
Yeah.
We've now got the controls now to better ask the AI where to spend its focus. So in those longer campaigns, getting them to change up and prioritise other actions rather than sitting and amassing around.
Okay, so that's like the clumping.
Yeah.
So in theory, they'll be slightly less defensive.
Clumping, yeah.
That's right. That's the idea.
But defensive at first.
It's all dynamic. I mean, we've always had personalities which sort of indicate what different factions want to do.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense and looks great in the early game, and it all comes together nicely. And then over time, you might see that the decision making that made total sense earlier on, no longer because of the sheer number of enemies or the number of forces that they've got, or lots of factors, then starts to go, that looks a bit strange to us. And there's been some tweaks to make it a bit more flexible.
Fantastic. Anything else we want to say about campaign, or I'll move on to...
So you can go to the next one.
So the long-awaited Siege update. We've spoken about a lot, but nice.
Jetzt geht es um das Belagerungsupdate.
Yes.
Hier sehen wir jetzt wieder diese neuen Leitern.
7 point something.
Yeah.
And so for people to help
Und diese sollen anscheinend ins Spiel kommen.
We update the number
yes.
with a version, right?
That's
so
right.
With a release. So 8 would be Bashiva, and 9 would be
Lord of the End Times.
Yes. So this will come the patch after Lord of the End Times, the campaign.
Allerdings nicht nur mit normalen Holzleitern, wie ihr seht, sondern auch wirklich für jede Fraktion komplett geändert.
Well, it's great bringing those back. I mean, well, I say bringing them back. It's kind of new for Warhammer. To me, it feels like bringing them back because experienced them in past Total War games that I've worked on. So they're going to be joining the fray for players to make use of.
Yeah.
Removing pocket ladders as the default setting. Because we know they're not for everybody, but the people that do like them, there's still going to be an option setting, so you can still have them in the game. So, really down to you, what your preference is, and how you want to make use of sieging with ladders.
Fantastic. Sorry, I'm so easily distracted. Are there any other changes since the beta that people should be aware of?
There's a whole host of stuff going in, and like me and Sean were saying earlier, we've been spending the time really looking at what the fantasy we want to have for siege battles in the Warhammer setting.
Yeah.
Got 10 years worth of content now, so there's all sorts of things that we'd love to play around with, and the betas obviously helped us look at some of that, and we've got some other ideas of our own. But we've been specifically focusing on like gate improvements, like the damage dealt to them, making it feel like a solid thing to defend. Looking at towers and the damage output. We've been looking at things like siege attacker trait, which characters, creatures should have that, making sure that hordes are well supported. Loads of bits and bobs.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that may not make it as well because it's cutting room floor style of we are trying things out, we want to try and push the boat out.
Also der Schaden von den Türmen, der wird auch nochmal geändert.
Larger reworks. Trying to make something that's objectively better for everyone is a bar that is hard to cross every time, and that's why it can take a bit more time to make sure that we go above that. There's lots of things that we're looking at as well that may not make it in. I don't know whether to talk about some of them, but like we've spoke about, can ethereal units go through walls? Is that something that we can support? And even just opening that question needs to go, well, if we want to do that, what's the technical cost of that? The way our walls are built was never built with that in mind. So it's a technical update. It's what would the implications of that be? Like, what happens if an ethereal unit dies inside a wall? What does it actually do to the game? All those things need to be thought all the way through, and then we make the decision of, do we go ahead with this and actually commit to it and resolve those issues? Is it worth doing? Because the fantasy of it would be incredible, but then there's the experience, and that's that objective, better experience bar that we have to cross. Of like, fantasy sounds great. If it doesn't help the game, though, should we invest in this? Is it going to cause more problems? So we're doing lots of stuff, trying lots of stuff, and hopefully, it all comes together as the most perfect, exciting version we can get.
Yeah, but there should be a nice grouping of content there for 9.1, and then like all things in the game,
See where it goes from there.
we always want to try and amend and improve.
Fantastic. Then, shall we move out of updates? I'll just say to Mr. Reducer, if there's any opportunity to turn up the audio a little bit, even on the mixing decks. Thank you.
Ich hoffe, es kommen noch mehr Maps.
Let's hope these all keep swiping nicely. There we go. So we're back. logo at the top there. So this is we'll be talking about Shiva.
Jetzt
I'm
kommen
going
die
to give a little bit of
Tigermenschen.
caveat before we go there, because I think the content from here on out for the rest of this stream is a little different. It's a lot more video-y with a few screenshots, but we are going to be showing some things and changes here in a bit of a vacuum. So I think we're going to talk about the ability all Tiger Warriors get, for example. So there's going to be things in a vacuum, and it may be that there's a particular ability or skill that will need further context for the players to really understand either the value of it or the usage of it, that we will try and give here, but we're not going to be able to do that for absolutely everything. There's only so much time on the stream and only so much time on the planet. So remember that everything you see here is subject to change, doesn't exist in isolation. As we all know, campaign buffs get layered on things. You know, enemy
Ja, die Tigermenschen leben ja in einer Isolation.
So everything has layers. And lastly, I did just want to throw out a massive thanks to the Warhammer licensing team. Everything from this part of the stream onwards, we've been doing
Eigentlich genau wie die Waldelfen.
and they've really been supportive in getting all of this ready. So, shall we show Bashiva?
Go on then.
I hope. I hope this is the button I'm going to press. Actually, the next thing I meant to show is Ferocious. If you want to talk about it first, or I think we've teased them if we don't show Bashiva now.
I feel like you.
Let's show Bashiva and then we'll go back one. All right. So there we go. That video is just starting from any point it wants, doesn't it?
Hier sehen wir jetzt die Werte von Bashiva
so
selbst.
Bashiva in battle. It will do some live at the end. A really cool set of animations.
Waffenstärke 500.
She's brilliant. She's brilliant. This has been such a, I guess, a pipe dream to have a character like her join the fray, come into the game, and you know she looks awesome. She's. We'll talk about some of her abilities and stuff later on, but just to give you a bit of a background on like who she is. She is.
Wenn man jetzt noch wüsste, was die passiven Fähigkeiten bringen.
That's a position held to both protect and command the Tiger Warriors.
Yeah.
In great times of peril and when chaos looms large again. She's also a mercenary lord, so she's one of the lords of Shangyang, and one of Zhao Ming's finest commanders. So she's got her own tiger company, which you'll see with some of the units in the pack.
Yeah.
But she intersperses that with other Cathayan units as well. So she leads those forward in protecting caravans along the Ivory Road and the borders of Grand Cathay.
Oh, fantastic. And I've got so we will go through some of the abilities, both passive and active there. I got some of the stats up on screen. How would it feel? How does it feel to use Bashiva in battle then? What's the play style there?
So her specifically is all about going after small entity units.
Yep.
She's quick, she's nimble, she's fast. She likes to stalk her prey. She's a big cat. So yeah, you might. I don't know if you've seen. Yeah, there we go. She's also got this amazing ability to teleport around the battlefield with her Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
And so when she
Teleportationsangriffe.
damages everybody around her, but she's super useful for obviously jumping into the fray, but also when she's in a tight spot, getting out of it too.
Yep. And we'll see some of those abilities. This was a far longer video than I remembered.
Yeah.
This is a really nice video because I didn't record this one. This is one of the few I didn't record. So that's why it's a much nicer quality than what we'll get into. So we can see on the abilities on the side there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ferocious Ambush is what all Tiger Warriors are getting. I'm glad
Die Waffen sehen cool aus.
In the next
Right.
section for us to talk about.
Okay.
So we can very quickly talk about Ferocious Ambush as just an expectation of that's what the Tiger Warriors will have. So what is Ferocious Ambush? What's the intent behind the ability?
I mean, the fantasy around all these characters is about that big cat field, stalking its prey, getting in, roughing people up.
Yeah.
So it's very much given them kind of that Vanguard deployment, speed, charge bonuses, all those kind of different things.
Nee.
Sorry, not Vanguard deployment.
Oder kann ich mich da doch hinmachen? Ja.
But yeah, that kind of idea and identity to her. No.
Mit Charge Speed steht da 25%.
The literally big thing about tigers,
Yeah.
they are much bigger.
Den Rest kann man lesen.
You know, like a full head taller
They
than a human. So we really wanted that impact of them on the charge to feel like you've been hit by a 9-foot big cat.
Yeah.
So you know the idea of Ferocious Ambush does lean into that. It increases their speed, increases their charge bonus, and gives them devastating flanker to
Ja, dass
push
die
that
etwas
charge
mehr
bonus
Geschwindigkeit
even
haben
further,
werden, dass es,
on a cooldown for bounce reasons and all
Yep.
these things. But it is really to capture
das war ja klar, weil die sind da wieder spezialisiert auf Flanken- und Hinterhaltsangriffe.
Cathay roster, which is much more rank and file with the the humans that the Jade Warriors and the Celestial Guard that stand and hold the line. The Tigers are charging in the hitting line. You'll see the impact, and that sometimes can win a battle if you get that on the flank, you get that in the right position. That can win a flank sooner than you want to, and you can reposition.
Weil es hier jetzt um die Tigermenschen geht, saftig Ups.
the enemies.
Human-sized cavalry then in a rear flank charge. We'll do an
Yeah,
absolute
slightly taller
They're
than
a bit
human-sized
bigger,
cavalry. Yeah.
horse-sized cavalry, which I guess is
No.
cavalry.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, go on.
Tier 2 and above as well.
Oh,
So, yeah, there you go.
So we'll show off some of. I've got pictures of some of Bashiva's other abilities, just so people can get an idea of how she'll play in battle. I don't think any of these abilities were actually used during that clip. So Heaven's Gate, obviously.
Yeah, we saw that one.
But I think as well, some of those were just her dynamic animations in battle, where she is teleporting around. My favourite's when she grabs someone and comes out of the sky and slams them into the floor. So Heaven's Gate, is that kind of the main ability you're expect to be using a lot as Bashiva?
That's a quest item, right?
Yeah.
So that's the one you want to go and get, and
Yeah.
it gives you that teleportation element. Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's her most iconic piece of her kit. So I think, as we mentioned earlier, if you want to pick an engagement, or there's a caster hiding behind enemy lines that I have to take out.
Also das rechts ist ein Fluch, damit kann man Einheiten aufdecken in einem
If Bashiva catches her
Reich
position after
in 50 Metern.
into a big charge, and she's actually starting to get singled out, she also has a way to remove herself from danger there.
Yeah.
So it's quite a flexible item in her kit, and is a lot of the identity built around that. Also because of the teleportation.
White Tiger verbessert Führerschaft und Nahkampfangriff.
And then disappear. So she's got a very powerful ability there to, like a tiger, go in, hit it where it hurts, disappear into the grass again. You're not sure when you're going to get hit.
Das sind ihre Waffen.
I would take your word. I've not fought a tiger. Not for a long
You've
time.
not?
So I'll have to take your word for it.
Always fighting how many versions of
Und sie
you
kann eine Explosion.
I wouldn't be one version of me. So Blades of Shangyang as well. Cool imbuement there, putting flammable on. Any of the other abilities? I mean, obviously the community will pour over these in their own time. But if there's anything you'd particularly want to call out,
I'm sure they will pour over it. But I mean, the flammable, if people remember on a previous slide, she has flaming attacks by default as well. So the flammable for her is also just like another damage buff on top for her personally getting involved. But if you've got other flaming units along in the army, that flammable means that it's a damage bonus for her, but also an opportunity for you to synergize that with some flaming units at the same time. Yeah.
fantastic. Well then,
There is one more.
Oh.
I've just checked. Check the notes. Hidden Huntress.
oh yeah,
So there's a
so
fifth.
hidden. It didn't
There's
even
a
make it on the screen.
There's a fifth.
It's stalking off screen.
And that is her starting ability.
Mhm.
So that's going to help with that kind of stalking stance.
Yeah.
And again, provide buffs in and around that. So she's got a lot of kit.
She has, and also you point out, it's exactly what I'm saying. We've got a lot of the stuff. I've tried to capture as much as I can. Someone said these are they're just screenshots from in-game. They are. I booted up the game and I took the screenshots. I told you guys this is.
Also das links ist eine Kombination aus Teleport und Explosion.
Polished version. But yes, that's a really good call out of. There's other stuff going on, but we wanted to give you guys some of the highlights to start talking about. Speaking of, shall we move on to the legendary hero Free LC?
Oh, big reveal, right?
It is. I've worked so long on this stream that just saying the names.
Jetzt geht's um den legendären Helden.
I'm glad I didn't say that we have. I don't.
Für die Tigermenschen.
I've said that. Oh yeah, there we go. Tao Yan.
Ich muss mich wieder wegmachen.
Yeah, there you go.
You looked at us to confirm that's how
I
you
thought
pronounce it.
I did. I don't actually know if I've said that out loud. So we've got Tao Yan here. So
Ciao
legendary
Jan.
hero joining the Cathay roster.
Yeah, all Cathay factions can make use of her.
Yeah.
But she does have that synergy, particularly with Bashiva and also Zhao Ming. So the background on Tao Yan is that she's an exiled warrior, and the reason why she was exiled to the Western provinces is that
Okay, also ist eher ein legendärer legendärer Held für Katai als
in what
die Tigermenschen, wobei die Tigermenschen sind ja auch für Katai, ne? Aber
Rose in the central provinces.
sie ist jetzt kein
wasn't so well
Tigermensch,
so she
nee.
was exiled out to the west, and now she is one of the lords of Shangyang, operating for Xiaoming, and yeah, she's very cunning. She's a great fighter, anything large. So you'll see her taking on things like ogres with her.
First trident wielder?
Oh,
Well, Albrecht as well.
Oh,
Right,
I should have ran that past us first.
we're off
mate.
now.
How many prongs does that trident have? Because that could be a Biden, and then I could be back in. Right?
Come on. Also, great anti-large character.
Ja, Kartei bekommt aber noch mehr legendäre Helden.
Actually, that's
Auch je nach wird es
ogres as well at the start.
wahrscheinlich noch weitere geben. Es gibt noch welche, die fehlen.
It's got a very blurred name. That is because we've got the ability, but we're still in discussions about what the name will be. We will have that ability up, which we can actually bring up now. So we will very quickly show and maybe chat about some of
Der Monkey King, der kommt noch nicht.
One of
Dem
which
bewahren die sich
shall
noch
not
auf.
be too merciless for it to be
The
there.
blurred ability.
But I thought it was important to be on there because that's such a cool ability. So Tyrant's Talon, is that the weapon?
That's the weapon that she wields. Yeah. So again, very good at base damage, armor piercing. I mean, she's a ferocious fighter.
Yeah. It isn't. I can see chat saying it's censored. It's not censored. It's just not decided fully yet. Or
Too
not
hot for
locked in.
Twitch TV. That's
It
it.
is. So suggest your own names.
I like that.
Cool. Then last section we have for Bashiva is we're going to talk about some of the Cathay tweaks.
Oh, okay, yeah. We can go over those.
I've got a video here. That's a video, but it's also just 2 screenshots that it swaps between every 15 seconds. So the first thing here is there's I think 3 of them that we've worked on, but I've only got 2 in the video. Only 2 were done of skill tree updates, refreshes, however we would describe them.
Done a few of those. So we've gone over a bunch of characters. So Astromancer, Gatemaster, Alchemist, and variety of different things there. So
Die Skaven haben Goritz, ja.
we've now split their
Tankwall.
their line. So they've got a character line now based on melee
Vielleicht sehen wir den später noch. Ansonsten.
improvements. I'm trying to think now.
So they're all up there.
Oh, they're all up
I don't know
there?
if you're close enough to see it, but
Yeah, no, I can see that. I'm just trying to refer back to what I've put down in my notes as well.
Tigermenschen gehören jetzt zur Kartei, ja.
Sky Lantern mount. Is
They
that true?
are. They are. I mean, we've also changed the Sky Lantern as well. So the Sky Lantern in itself is now different. It's now much more of a supportive unit. So it's there to buff and reinforce the armor.
Also das ist jetzt hier der neue Skillbaum vom
Up on high.
Tormeister.
Yeah. No, there's lots of stuff to do with that. But you should definitely talk about the tech tree.
Das vom Alchemisten, also
The transition.
die Helden von Kartei, die bekommen Überarbeitungen.
Yeah, we redid the tech tree.
Und Kartei bekommt einen neuen Technologiebaum.
From scratch. It's funny when we
Oder
did
beziehungsweise
it has the exact same
Änderungen.
number of technologies and takes the exact same amount of time, purely by chance.
Yep.
But it is from scratch. We really wanted to lean into the yin and yang of it. So each side now has a focus on yin or yang, either in either portion of it, and as it comes to the center, it's more harmony of effects.
Ich glaube, das ist ein ganz neuer Technologiebaum, ne? Für Kartei. Ich habe Kartei jetzt schon länger nicht mehr gespielt. Sieht mir komplett neu aus.
One of the things that we had in our mind though is like the current tech tree's been out there for so long. We really don't want this to come across as like, a change for change's sake. So we did a really big analysis of everything that was in there before, and give or take a little bit here or there. This is an objective, like it's got all the big ticket items that were there before, plus some extra fun things, and it's just a bit easier to pass. We had some issues with the old tech tree where you'd still be seeing peasant buffs like quite late in, which never really felt like, this isn't capturing the, like, I'm late game now, I want to see the tech tree reflect that. So now you can see as you go through the tech tree that it scales with where you're at in your campaign.
Irgendwie hat er bei mir das Bild nicht ganz mit
Campaign
drauf.
harmony or harmony. Are there any other changes to like harmony traits or how that's?
There has been some stuff done that with characters.
Yep.
So that that has gone on. The other thing we've also done as well.
Moment.
There's feedback on Terracotta Sentinels not really having enough punch and weight behind them. So we've done an animation metadata pass. So we've been changing that. So now when they're going on a charge, there should be much more impact on the damage output. And what else have we done? We've changed some of the units on the tierings as well. So like I think it's Long Mars down at tier 4 now. So there's been some some balance changes there.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that people can get access to the cool stuff in the roster without waiting too long, while still grading the things that are the big ticket items like the Terracotta Sentinel. They deserve to be up there.
Yeah.
But there was a couple of units where if you compare them to other cultures in the game, you go, well, why does Cafe have to wait so long to see, infantry, which is like a tier 3, tier 3.5 infantry at a tier 5 spot? So we've made some adjustments. We've adjusted the cost of some buildings as well, so it's not just a straight like you get it earlier for no downside. Like there's been a lot of adjustments to try and improve the flow of the experience for everyone, not just Bathsheba.
Fantastic. Then we're going to talk about if we're all done.
Oh no, one more thing. Don't forget with Bathsheba and the Tiger Warriors, they all facilitate work with the dragons as well. So make sure to check that out as well.
And also anyone who wants to snip the little bits of lore, because there's some really cool some lore in those skills. Well then, I'm going to press a button. Are we ready?
So, jetzt geht's ums Endtimes DLC.
About this section this is the section that's true. I mean, so excited about. So we've all seen on Reddit that there is a very passionate fan who's hoping that right now we're about to reveal a man-sized rat, and we do have something man-sized. And it is a man. So we have here our next Lord of the End Times. Who is this?
It's the guy who I said will have his day.
And he's having his day.
He's definitely having his day, yeah. So Boris Todbringer.
Ja, den kennen wir schon, Boris Todbringer.
Yeah.
It looks like a new
He's
model.
here. He's finally here, but in here now to be fully played.
Man.
So it's really cool to get to that point from the original Warhammer, 10 years later, to now be in that position where, you get a new experience, a new fight with the Empire.
Yeah, like you said, he's a bit of a visual glow up as well.
Also Boris Todbringer gibt es jetzt schon für Mittelland,
Well, yeah, perfect.
aber eben halt nicht so ganz richtig, aber jetzt wird er eben halt richtig überarbeitet ins Spiel kommen.
And he's never had his day until now where he really stands out as the interesting guy that he is.
So I do thank everyone for bearing with us. It's been a while.
Well, we said we'd get there. So we are going to be mostly talking about battle today, as that's more in a stage that I've got videos of and that we can share. We'll have some general campaign questions, but mostly we will have battle. And I said that all of those last videos were great because they weren't filmed by me. You guys are now getting the videos I filmed. So
brace yourselves.
Yeah.
You've seen him in his Lord selection screen, and now you get him in the battle.
There is
with his new model there. So where does Boris start?
Do you want to take a guess?
Somewhere in Lustria, I would imagine.
He's not gone quite as far afield. No, he's in Midland.
Yep.
Shocker. Yeah.
Fantastic. And so what's the kind of campaign atmosphere you're aiming for Boris?
Well, generally, as Warhammer has gone on throughout the trilogy and into Warhammer 3 as well, the Empire's got pretty treacherous. It's quite a dangerous place to be now. And our good friend Boris, he's sick of being on the defensive. He's sick of all these people walking into the Empire and acting like they own the place. So he's going on the offensive now.
I mean, in 3 seconds, there we go.
There we go.
Why did you bring attention to that? Perfect time for vengeance. Now he's going to take the fight to everyone else. So yeah, he'll start in a position where you'd expect it in Midland, and he's
startet ganz normal in Mittelland.
Trying to unite the Empire. Elspeth is holding off the forces of undeath. Boris is much more about taking on anyone and everyone that's in the Empire right now, and anyone that's even thinking about getting the Empire. Right. He's taking the fight to them. No more defensiveness. He's embodying the god Ulrich, the god of war, winter, and wolves, and he's bringing that war with him to all of the foes of the Empire.
He's got his claws out.
Nice.
Well, I don't have the transition-y statement that I think I do. So what we've got then? So we've got Boris, and we're also going to show off a couple of units here. Then, so the first unit we've got infantry. Do you want to talk about the unit, or do you want to talk about the ability that a lot of Boris's faction will get? Your choice.
I could talk about both. We'll see what's on the screen.
Slides.
There are 2 different slides.
Right, we'll start off with Crush. So this is Crush the Weak, and this is the ability.
Sie haben schon mal eine Fähigkeit von ihm.
On Boris Todbringer exclusively right now in the live game, but it's being changed slightly because it's not going to be just on Boris. It's going to be on all Ulrican units going forward. So it means it's going to have a few changes. as it stands right now, like this is very much work in progress, and all of these things will be tweaked as they go. Even that image is very much a placeholder image that we've.
Oh, the icon's a placeholder that I put over another placeholder.
It's double placeholder right now, but it is very much in progress. But the intent is, we want the Ulrican units to all feel like they've got a clear play style and flavor. Midland's a much more melee-focused Empire culture, and we want to make sure that those
Also wenn ich das richtig übersetze,
succeed being this melee.
umso weniger Führerschaft
What's been interesting about digging into the pack.
die Truppen in seiner Nähe haben,
When the Hunts Marshal came in, he brought
umso schneller und umso mehr Schaden machen sie.
And Boris does feel like he's bringing his own flavor there of it's not just Empire Plus. It does feel like a sub faction within. So we'll show off one of them now.
Go for it.
So who do we have here?
It's the Teutogen Guard.
It is.
It says it on the screen.
Ach so,
It's the
Dave.
Teutogen Guard. So these guys are.
Der Effekt steigt für jeden Feind, dessen Moral wankend oder niedriger ist.
Think of them the two units that we are talking
Those are
about
the only
today.
units we're allowed to reveal, yeah?
Oh, come on.
So where did the Teutogen Guard come from?
Also
Well, the
umgekehrt,
Knights of
okay.
the White Wolf happen to have several very esteemed nobility within them, and it's based purely on merit. It's not
Das ist
just
die
about
Teutonengarde, das ist die absolute Elite aus Mittelland. Gab es meines Wissens nach nie für Tabletop. Also zumindest keine Modelle.
Completely inconsequential things when we talk about those guys. But that's who the Teutogen Guard are. What they do in practice is that they're heavily armored AP units. So we want to push them a little bit sturdier and slightly fewer in number than the Greatswords. So they are on the advanced side of Greatswords in terms of what they do, but a bit more generalist as well. So where Greatswords have, the anti-infantry, they're classic Greatswords. These guys are, bulkier, heavy hitting, lower entity. They're kind of like the epitome of Empire's infantry to date so far, and they're going to be a bit harder for other Empire factions to get hold of. But all of the Ulrican units that will be coming will be a bit easier for Todbringer to get hold of, because, of course, they should be. He's Midland.
They're right next to him.
Yeah, he's got them in the back room waiting to come out.
So we do have one other unit to show. Did these guys ever get into combat? Did it loop? I wasn't paying attention.
I was looking at you.
I'm hoping that everyone got to see them hitting people. I sat on.
Ja, die können ja auch schon die neue Fähigkeit von eben.
Much longer than I thought I did.
There we go.
Können sie verstecken, immun gegen Psychologie.
I'm looking at the chat. Did anyone else see them hitting, or do I have to vamp for time just so you can see?
Und Expert in Ansturm abwehren.
So we will. No, they didn't see them hitting. I really sat on way too long recording them in idle then. So we do have one other unit to reveal, and funnily enough, we saw a Reddit post like a week ago that was, forget all of these units. There's one unit I really hope is part of the Empire pack, and that person is going to be very happy to see.
It's the Knights Panther.
It is.
Hey, die Pantherritter.
Very themed around a
Boah.
picture, and
Die habe ich auch schon damals viel früher erwartet. Wie lange die schon gefehlt haben, die Pantherritter.
Middenheim as well as Talabheim. So we thought, well, we've got to capture all the major knightly orders as much as possible. So we've brought in these guys. You can see they've got a bit of anti-large on them already. So they've got a slightly different role from the existing knightly orders that are in the game right now.
Yeah. I can also tell you, I'm pretty sure that's the wrong video, because I'm pretty sure their horse armor should be blue.
The horse armor should be blue.
I was going to say that they
I mean, if my producer double clicks on that video, double click it, and then you click browse. Do you see another one in there called Knights Panther?
blue.
Die Pantherritter sind sehr bekannt im Imperium.
If I could just stand up, I could do it.
You can
Do you
stand
think
up.
I can just run over and fix the video?
They'll never know.
Hold on, keep vamping
They'll
for
never
time.
know.
Keep
Yeah,
vamping for time.
yeah.
Yeah, so they should be blue.
Yeah. Very blue with some gold trim.
Yeah. Such is the development and progress. Every day things are progressing, and we thought, we'll get the most recent version of the Knights Panther to show off. These ones, the most recent version.
This was
Who are
updated
they?
like 2 days ago, so that's
The magic.
okay.
Ob der Boris jetzt kostenlos sein wird, das kann ich nicht beantworten.
Again, as we prepare for them to charge.
You love an idol, though, Josh, so we can take our time.
I do. I sat there and I was like, about 40 seconds would do, and I did not know how long.
Sie haben ihn einfach nur gezeigt.
Until I've sat here in the hot seat. So yeah, we got the Knights Panther. I mean, we'll see it in a second. You've probably just seen it before. Their charge is devastating. Lovely in blue though. I could never imagine seeing him in silver.
That's weird.
Who would do that?
Yeah. Exactly. But what do you know? What I do think that helps to emphasize is
Antorido an alle, die jetzt noch reingekommen sind.
development in progress. Like this video I took yesterday to replace the one I took the day before. I like it when he does the boom. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do with the show and tell. So everything you're seeing is development in progress. All of those stats could change depending on however Sean's feeling at that moment in time. But yeah, I think I'm just letting him see him fight for a little bit before we move on.
Just keep vamping.
There we go. So what we have now is technically, but not really, 3 more units. So we are approaching the end of our end times section, and I really like the Warhammer community rumor engines. So we thought we'd make our own.
Oh.
So if you guys are, people may know.
Jetzt gibt es nur ein paar Hints.
After some feedback from our talk on Tuesday, I made one.
Lysander, die du eben aufgezählt hast, die Ritter. Reichsgarde, Ritter des Sonnenordens und Ritter des Moors und Demigreifen. Die sind aber nicht so verbreitet im Binnenland. Also Reichsgarde und Ritter des Sonnenordens gibt es dort gar nicht. Ritter des Moors auch nicht. Demigreifen nur ganz wenig im Binnenland. Es gibt eigentlich auch noch so einen anderen Ritter im Binnenland speziell. Das sind die Ritter des Weißen Wolfes. Die sind eigentlich speziell für Mittelland.
June.
So I think the plan at the moment is in June we'll come back. We may do it may be a stream, it may be
vielleicht
maybe both.
zeigen sie die später mal.
We're looking at the moment to maybe talk about some of the free update stuff that's going to come with.
That'd be good.
So you may be learning this for the first time because we're
I'm going to pretend I was fully up to date with all this.
So at the moment
we're ready to go.
At the moment, I think the plan is in June we'll come back and talk to you guys about some of the stuff coming.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because we spoke about some of that in December, like some of the devastation. And,
yes.
I didn't know I could put that voice on. But we'll come back and we'll talk a bit more comprehensively about some of the stuff you can expect to see there. But I saw it in chat. We do have one last clip for Lords of the End Times. So we have a fantastic voice actor for Boris Todbringer lined up. You're going to be hearing loads of his voice when you're issuing orders on campaign and in battle.
Also Boris Wüterich bekommt, also beziehungsweise Boris Todbringer bekommt neue Voice Lines. Die haben dafür einen besonderen eingestellt. Ah, der hier.
Shut up, Ben! That's good. Beautiful. Boris Todbringer! At pace! None shall live! Oh, I hate Kazrak One-Eye. I know we can't. But for me, can we all just have one? It's me, Toddy! Just like this one. It never gets used.
There it is.
So there we go. That has been one of the hardest secrets to keep, but it is exciting, and they'll also, I think we've heard recently that there'll be some of about.
So, das habe ich mir jetzt hier schon gedacht, dass da steht mehr Infos im Mai, weil im Mai ist traditionell das Warhammer Skulls Event.
Some of them just a little too hot to handle, but others will just about sneak in. So look forward to that, and that will be part coming along with Boris Todbringer. So we've got all of our information there. More in May on the Tiger Warriors. That's why it says more in May. More in June on the Lords of the End Times. So we have our last game, and then we'll be doing community inbox. I've seen a few people interested in us talking about this one as we've gone through the stream. So
So, jetzt
Welcome.
Total War
And you
40k.
perfectly sat in the positions that I prepared for.
Seamless, absolutely seamless.
So people haven't seen you guys in a while. So Dave, we last streamed together 7 years ago.
It was a while.
And Kev, we did do
we
a
did
we
Rome
did
one. Yeah,
we did.
yeah.
So welcome to the stream. Welcome
you.
to Total Show and Tell.
It's warm in here.
It is very
Oh,
hot.
it's crazy.
I don't know how Rich and Sean managed that with the the heavy jumpers.
And
on.
the sad
Super
thing about
hot.
that video is we didn't get to say big thank you to Rich and Sean for coming on, but I'm
Thank
sure chat will show
you,
appreciation.
Rich and Sean.
So, who are you guys? Dave, starting with you. Who are you and what are you doing on Total War?
What are you doing? Who are you? Hiya. Yeah, so I'm David Petrie. I am the battle product owner for Total War. So basically, I look after the when and the what of the features that we're building across all of the super exciting games that we're doing. Of course, with a really big focus at the moment, as you might expect, on Total War Warhammer 40,000. So yeah. Also, massive 40k nerd, so this is this is a dream. Very, very orc-oriented is how I'd describe myself. We don't have to talk about interests or anything.
No.
Do we? No. Okay, all right, okay, thank God. Okay.
No,
It's orcs.
Hello, I'm Kevin. I am the art director on Warhammer 40,000. I think it's fair to say that I'm a Total War veteran. 26 years making Total War games. So
You were the
far.
man who did the spin in the December video, right?
That's right.
You were-
Yeah. I'm secretly behind every developer
Exactly.
in the studio, just lurking.
Dramatic Kev.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So the first question I had is a more broad one of how's development going?
Oh.
I'll throw that out to the room.
We're cooking. We're cooking. We're busy away.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of passion, a lot of fire. I think to get something really, really awesome done. So yeah.
So I think the team is really actively moving. We're making a ton of progress right now. Battlefields, as far as I'm concerned, are pretty much in the bag, and campaign is making great progress. So
And
it's doing good.
so today we will be showing off one of the spoilers, I guess, but one of the planets, and we'll be showing off 3 battlefield flybys.
Es geht jetzt um
Just for those at
Planeten.
home, what's the level of polish that we'll be seeing on the assets that we share today?
So I'll let Dave speak to the battle stuff. From what we're seeing on campaign, we captured it a few weeks ago. It is, I would say, relatively early, but it's definitely showing the intent of where we want to go visually with the planets.
So the again, I apologize because I captured the footage for this.
Yeah, and what we're going to be seeing on those is mostly the background artwork. So on top of that, there's a layer of there's the shroud and the region borders and all this kind of and the user interface, etc., etc. So we're not going to take a look at that today.
So the caveats I had is even the build I got here was from a separate branch. So there wasn't the optimization on there that others have. So caveats I have are there's optimization work, a load of optimization. There was no optimization on the planet clip because that was exploratory there. It's work in progress. The camera still having work, and I've written down too dark planet rear. Which I guess will make sense when we get there. So if you're happy, I'll throw us over to the planet.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is the first look at our intent for what a planet's going to look and feel like.
So that's a hive waste planet. So we can see the hive cities on there. We've got road connections. We have everything's a bit sickly. You don't really want to go on vacation there with your mom or your kids.
On your own, then.
On your own, yeah.
It's a solo trip.
Yeah. So this is one of our planet types. Our planets are kind of mix and match. We've got what we call biomes, which is the overall terrain type. So we've got arid biomes, temperate biome, ice biome, waste biome.
Sehr finstere Planet mit einigen wenigen Makropolen.
We have different kind of civilizational types.
Okay.
So this is a hive planet. So we can see the hive cities on it.
Wie hoch diese Makropolen
The
sind.
intent is to have a spectrum of world types present, right? And obviously hives classically. They've got those hive cities on them, and then the waste.
Und diese Hive Cities, das sind immer diese Makropolen.
Planet, right? But then also we are going to be looking at like frontiers and civilized worlds, etc., which are also sort of mainstay planet types that are within the galaxy. So yeah, there's all sorts of different planets with different purpose that the Imperium has constructed
sometimes lost.
Yeah.
Often lost. Sometimes forgotten. Sometimes forgotten. It takes a long time for that bureaucracy train to work. But yeah, so representing all of that is the goal here.
And just for everybody watching the stream.
Ich hoffe, das kann man auch wirklich in
Dave is a
einer
designer, I'm an artist.
Kampagne machen, ne? Also wirklich, wirklich richtig ranzoomen, so wie hier jetzt.
That's my obsession.
So the question I have then that will maybe hit both of you in a different interpretation is what was the biggest challenge in trying to capture a whole planet?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not just about capturing a planet.
Die große und kleine
what we're really
Metropolen.
trying to do here is we're making a planet, we're making a Total War planet, we're making a Warhammer 40,000 planet. So we have to get the confluence of all those different items. This isn't just like planet Earth or Mars or whatever. So we really want to get the feeling that you're playing a Total War game, that there's a familiarity when you're playing it. Also, there's all of the background story with 40K that we need to get in. So our challenge really is getting all those things, and normally that's challenging enough for when we're doing that on a 2D map. But now everything's getting wrapped around a ball. So our lives have been made kind of easy, and a lot of our process is very similar to making the 2D maps because of our tool chain that we've developed. So the designers and the coders have got a tool that allows us to place things quite easily, and we don't have to manually go in and do that.
So we promised we'd talk a little bit about scale here then. So I'll ask effectively the same question to you with a different flavour of it. If I'm a player, what is it like to try and capture a whole planet?
So you're going to be fighting through region to region, basically on these continents, with the aim of basically capturing like a key region or a key location within that. And across those conflicts, you're going to be encountering all sorts of different scale of civilization and what's the word, like density of the maps, etc. So it gives a really cool opportunity for you to sort of encounter like more desolate, wastelandy places, like you can imagine when you end up fighting on the perimeters of these hives. You're going to have like these wasteland battles effectively that are pretty much empty, right? Like some bits punctuating things, but largely it's pretty desolate out there, bar a few points of interest. And then of course when you work your way towards and into an actual hive, you're going to be fighting these much more dense, much more sort of like choke point oriented battles. But we'll get into a little bit of that soon, I'm sure.
Then, it's a great idea of then how I'm taking a planet. How many planets would be in a system?
A number of planets. More than one. More than one.
Well, it could be one.
It could be one. It's possible. It's possible to be one. But that's again strength of
So,
it's going to be a
geben.
handful of planets. It's not going to be like dozens and dozens of planets in the system. So it'll
How many can you fit in your hand? Fantastic. Then my last question on this bit before we move on to the battlefields. Then. What are the next steps? So what they've seen here is a capture from a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
What are the next steps internally for this planet? Where do you go from here?
So this planet we're kind of done this planet in terms of all the content that we need to make. So like the prototype basic hive waste planet is done. We've got all the components now that feed into our planet making system, so we can make many different versions of this planet, infinite versions. We can also mix this biome, so we can have hive ice planets, hive arid planets, etc. So we've been working through all of the different planet types. The team is essentially going to be done next week with all the planet types. After that, we have been developing the actual systems. So we have a pretty good. You can see in the background when I talk about the system, we're talking about where all the planets are living, and there's a star, and there's all the nebula and the backdrop. So we have a pretty good basis for that already. But we're going to spend the next month or so with the campaign art team focusing on all that stuff.
Fantastic. Then should we talk about some battles?
Let's talk about battles.
So we have 3 maps. So we revealed as part of our announced trailer we had a hive map, which upper hive delta,
upper hive plateau.
So close. So upper hive plateau, and we did see the community kind of saying, "Oh, that's a lot of things on the map, right?" And when we're doing trailers and stuff, we do try and get there's the most going on. But what I wanted to do in this stream is, because we're talking to the Total War community, right? Is to show there's a variety there.
Yeah.
What we don't have, you spoke about like wastelands. We don't have like the lowest density map here, because those are a bit further in development. Or sorry, still to be developed in that stage. But we do have some medium lows, and then the one.
And there's only so much we can talk about in one swing, right?
So when I said earlier that we had all the battle
Wir
maps,
haben jetzt eine
wasn't
Schneeschlacht.
strictly true. We do have two additional maps that we're working on, which are the lowest of low density.
But look at that. That's exciting.
That is-
That's really exciting. So to speak of this a little bit, basically, like, there's going to be a really, really wide variety of spaces that you can fight in this game, right? Like, you're going to be able to fight in much more dense environments and much more sparse ones. This one is like somewhere towards the bottom half of that sort of sparseness, right? Like, you can see overall, you've got enough space on one side there to have an entire conflict, right? You can have two massed armies meet there, 20 units at least between that, having a big conflict on that side of the map. But you could also have it over here on the left-hand side, and it will end up being a little bit more sort of like, rat running.
Sehr interessante Map,
But the idea
ne?
is, again, you've got all of these different tactical options and then sort of strategic elements that can come out of it. So one of the really big and exciting things that we're doing here is that destruction now is going to come into play, right? So that forest, if you don't like it, you don't have to keep it, right? So if you find that pesky forest is getting in your way and you can't see around it, then you can get rid of that thing, or you can use it to hide in, right? And you classically use it to sneak things around and move around. So however you want to try and develop and use your units for your strategy, the aim here is to sort of really open up that toolkit for you. So you can do all sorts of really cool and interesting stuff. And again, the firepower is off the charts. So when we started looking at things like trees, we just went, well, they can't stay there.
The building can't stay
Yeah.
So some of the caveats I'll give for this as well, because I recorded this with a debug camera, so I doubled up the height that we would usually go, just because otherwise it would take me so long to go all the way around the map. There are some missing and unfinished elements. I think I recorded this from a build that was 2 months old. In the next clip, you'll see there's a few low-res versions of outfield buildings which have already been updated. But otherwise, I think the main thing I'd point out is just, it's a debug camera, and I plonked down 20 infantry guard. Just
all the same guy.
It's the same unit,
It's all
just
the same guy,
20
yeah.
of them. Infantry squad, sorry. So just so they can see what that looks like in terms of how big these maps are.
No, they're absolutely honking.
Aber die Map hier, die ist gerade schon ziemlich riesig.
And not only that, they're all quite switchable in terms of lighting and biome, and also start pause when you're playing different maps. So it's going to be a lot of options for the player.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
I want to see a ship get blown up, and then we can move.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Is it coming?
Zoom. But I think another point to make here, and I think I've said this before in different forms, is that you're not always alone, right? Like again, we're fighting on these planets. There is a huge amount of conflict going across the surface of the planet as well, right? It's not you're not just you there, right? So when you show up in these planets, oh look at that.
Hier sehen wir
If you
jetzt
want to point it,
eine Makropol-Map.
Maybe someone spotted
Okay,
it.
maybe someone spotted him. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Wahrscheinlich die aus dem ersten Trailer und unten sehen wir das Astra-Militarum.
Might be, depending on the campaign situation, that you're actually going to be joining a fight that might be in conflict. That doesn't mean there's loads of stuff going on, but there will be like a number of small skirmishes potentially happening in the middle of the battlefield before you start. And whether you decide to help or hinder really is down to you, depending on your alignment, I guess, and how much you care about those poor guardsmen and their lives. But you don't have to care, and that's the wonderful thing.
Exactly. This is the map from the trailer.
Upper Hive Plateau.
I was trying to.
Also das ist die Karte vom Trailer hier.
From a pool when you load into a map. I was trying to match the lighting from the trailer, but I loaded it like 6 times and I just gave up.
Yeah, I mean we've got about 40 different lighting setups, so you might be a while to try to find the right one.
Variety is key. But I think like a thing we found really interesting to develop with was this concept of like dealing with these intense spaces, right? Because obviously there is a lot of complexity to building something that represents a hive world, right? And I think the team have done an absolutely stand-up job. I can't swear, can I? No. I really shouldn't swear. Wow, that's hard. They did a really brilliant job, like a flipping brilliant job. Really, they smashed it out of the park in capturing that. But one thing that we found with this universe, right, is that everything is such an incredible scale, right? That even these intense spaces, when you get down into actually looking at them, are absolutely huge, right? There are these massive areas that you can conduct combat within, right? So even when you're dealing with these intense spaces, often actually the the spaces you've
Sieht schon interessant aus mit diesen ganzen kleinen Kirchen.
right? Like if you, there was a moment a little while ago, but you try and point the
Zumindest
the
haben
one
die
that's down there.
alles in den Kirchentürme.
Yeah, come on, Josh. You can fit like a sizable army in a lot of these spaces, and then in many of those spaces where things do get tight, there are opportunities to remove buildings and sort of make it a little bit bigger if that's your play style. If you've got an army that really values line of sight, then that can really help you there, because you go, I don't want those, get rid of them.
And
right?
I think that's been the biggest mental shift in playing is dense maps in other Total War games. It's, well, these are all obstacles I am forced to work around the whole time. But a lot of these buildings I can get rid of. I can make this a lower density map if I want to fight on a lower density map, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we also have some amazing effects with bombardments.
We do, yeah. And again, you got these really powerful tools, right, to be able to sort of like blow apart key parts of the battlefield. Being completely clear, not absolutely everything is destructible, right? Like we've kept it to areas where it really works, it makes sense, and it feels like it can really sort of add to that depth. But I mean, another big part of it is these cover zones, right? Which as we come back round, maybe we'll get to point out our favourite. But these cover zones, because again, we are dealing with a universe that's full of really powerful but flat-firing weapons, right? And so cover becomes incredibly important. So a part of the sort of the tactical the tactical tapestry of
We're seeing like a really big cover zone right down there, bottom left.
Yeah, exactly. But it really can, help the survivability of your
Hier wird man vieles zerstören können, ja.
to capture here is that cover really does matter. When you've got fragile units, that fleshy poor humans that can't take a huge amount of punches or particularly get hit by bolt rounds, right? Like they need somewhere that gives them a bit of rest. It's about, here we go.
If they spot him on the left, middle left, there he is. He's waving.
Oh yeah,
there's a little guy there. So sometimes people stand on ruins. That's neat. But anyway, let's not worry too much now. But yeah, you can end up in these cover to cover fights, right? And at that point, it's about what
Da sehen wir auch einige
what can
Barrikaden.
I unstick this situation with? And of course, you've got so many toys here, right? You've got units that can jump over things with jetpacks and land and get into a melee, because melee is a great way to unstick a cover. But you also have
blow
these,
up a building that's next to them and drop it on top.
on them. Yeah, absolutely. You've got these wild bombardments if you positioned or have your fleet in orbit nearby you. Part of that whole tactical and strategic space is stitching together the campaign and the battle, so that having that fleet present with the right things on it, with the right bombardments, with the right assortment of armament, can really help your battle. So if you've loaded it up with a macro cannon and you've got a bunch of really angry space marines ready to jump down, they can appear exactly where you don't, well, the enemy doesn't want them, right? So there's the really powerful and cool tools to sort of like play with once you start to get into this space. But cool, it looks pretty, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
I'll ask,
I don't have to say anything, Dave. Everybody's just
Hier sind schon sehr viele Geschütztürme.
There was listening.
just before we
Ich hoffe, die kann man auch alle einsetzen.
deployment zones. So what's different about deployment zones here?
What's different about deployments? Oh yes, what is different? We want to make sure we have I guess as many varied ways to play these maps as possible, right? And we have done tricks like this in the past, but we are leaning into it. So with this map, you can fight it north to south effectively, so like from that direction. You can also fight it east to west, so you can have that deployment on a different basically axis. And we also are going to have assault battles, right, which have these sort of more entrenched positions that we're fighting against. And at that point, you might be defending sort of halfway out into that map, for example. So as a defender, you might be sort of halfway in, and we have all of these different sort of ways and configurations of making sure that the experience does stay fresh on these maps. Because of course, keeping it fresh and giving that variety just is super fun.
And speaking of variety,
Also die Karte gibt es in mehreren Varianten.
what's the biome for this one? Is it waste?
That will be a waste, yeah.
And what
Und mit mehreren verschiedenen Spawnpunkten.
is, I think, one of your favourites.
Da-da-da-da.
This is an arid
Und schon hier das
map.
Astra
This
Militarum.
isn't an
Elia.
arid map, right? This is a map with
So, jetzt haben wir eine
arid on it.
Wüstenmap.
So you could play this
So
map.
this could be all green.
Yeah,
Right?
it could be
yeah.
ice.
Or it could be all ice.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
could be all gunk.
Yeah.
Could be.
Gunk map.
So that's how this variety is really getting layered on, right?
Yeah.
You fight on the same map twice, but one time you're fighting on this in an arid in this deployment, and the second time it's the opposite deployments, and you're on ice.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it on ice. Don't put it on ice. We are definitely too hot to be put on ice. But yeah, and again, I think conceptually, I just absolutely love this map. I think it's really cool. it really reminds me of like the texture paints that you get to sort of stick on your models, you know, using your Martian iron crust and all that sort of stuff. It brings back memories basically. But and again, this would probably speak of like a frontier world, right? So somewhere where like things are much more desolate, where civilization that has been built up is kind of like almost stuck to the vestiges of like crashed vessels and whatever the Imperium has slammed down to sort of bunker up around. And you get these really cool and interesting spaces to fight in. And again, sort of looking at those sort of like ledges that you can fire down from, again with these flat firing missiles, the positional play really does matter a lot. Like, so being able to build up multiple ranks of fire from like behind you, in front of you, to the side, you're flanking with your missiles, etc. Like that is all an important part of that space. So making sure that we have that in the environment, is super key.
It doesn't look good.
And doesn't it look lovely? I really like the big crash ship.
Yeah.
The big crash ship is a really good part of the map. But we do have, just to labor it, we do have the
Sehr schöne, viele Details hier, ne? Auch hier mit den Aufzügen und so.
Very sort of like desolate, empty ones too. We all love them, and they all fit. And that's the brilliant thing, is you just get such an amazing spectrum of different spaces that you can end up fighting in.
This is actually like structurally a classic Total War map type. Basically, if you look at, it's a divide into with a few passing
choke points. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I only have one more question for you, and I think I'm answering it because I am going to ask you when will we hear from you next. But you're very busy making the game, so I think I know the answer to this, which is we have a few.
You think?
I think we've got a few things planned at the moment of when we're going to show more of Total War Warhammer 40,000. We're still working on exactly which is going to come out first. So regardless of which it is, by the end of June, you will have heard more about Total War and seen more, not just heard.
That's good.
Cool.
You'll hear more
Good.
about Total War.
Probably from us too.
Probably.
Maybe, I don't know.
Can't get you away. All right, well, thank you very much. I'm going to stick us onto a summary screen, so you are free to sprint out. But thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, everybody.
And thank you, everyone in the chat, for saying thanks to them. All right, we have one more section, and you're free to skedaddle. We have one more section, and that is our community inbox. So we had a really great reaction to our community inbox last time. We had it in its own separate stream. We found that you guys asked a lot of very specific
Total War Warhammer 40k erst im Juni.
and that is actually part of what inspired doing the show and tell. Let me reveal. There we go. It is. You're the only one I forgot to put a name tag on as well. So you'll have to introduce
I'm nobody.
So, jetzt sind wir bei Community
we have
Inbox.
so many questions about specific game stuff, and we put them all to you in a bit of a gauntlet. We thought this format's a bit nicer because then the game teams can answer all of the game questions, and to you we can pose more of the kind of franchise level questions. So welcome back.
Thanks.
It's
Glad to
been,
be here.
2-3 months since you last year. So we've trawled through your inbox again of people emailing in. There were a lot of emails. There were, when we did the announcement of the stream, then a lot more emails.
Yeah, you guys blew me up. I just kept getting alerts for like 3 solid days.
Exactly. So we have enough in the bank for another one of these in the future.
Yeah.
We're going to ask just a few questions.
Ja, danke schön, Meister Micha, ne?
Short on time, but there were some questions we saw real trends on. So
Grüße dich, werte Horidon. Gut.
Who are you?
I'm Roger. I am the vice president for Total War. Big silly title. Ignore it. I am nobody. Everybody that you've seen so far, they're the real hard workers. They're the ones that make things go.
So we're going to put the harder questions to you then.
That's fine. That's fine.
So we've got, I think, 6 questions to run through. And
Wie fandet ihr das Gezeigte für 40k? Gut, ne?
in the emails, you get a lot of
War jetzt aber auch nicht so viel.
Either why don't you just do this, or how can't you do that?
Yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge for improving AI?
Yeah. So I have answers for this, but I know that as soon as I leave here, all the AI programmers and designers will find me and potentially punch me. AI is lots of various challenges. For one, our game is heavily based.
Tweety Rabe, hattest du das verstanden, was sie bei den Seeschlachten gesagt haben? Bei Medieval 3? Ich hatte dann nur verstanden, dass sie den Fokus auf die Landschlachten und Belagerung legen.
But the other aspect of AI is that an all-knowing, all-seeing, all-doing AI is not actually fun. In order for the
Ich hatte
game
das
to
leider
be
gerade
fun, it needs to be both
nicht so richtig verstanden.
challenging and winnable. Like there has to be the hope of doing it, and an AI theoretically can see everything. So getting the balance between those two things is very, very tough. I'd say that the architecting and the designing of the behaviors and those things are probably the most challenging bit. But then there comes the design part, which is how do you make the AI itself feel good, and then how do you make it feel good for as many people as possible. I think you know, it'll be nice, hopefully in the future, that we have various settings in the game that allow players to take more control over the behaviors they want to see from the AI. I think a lot of people, many people, when they send me questions about AI, it's not hard enough.
Yeah.
And they don't want us to just like, you know, raise HP and raise.
They want it to feel smart.
They want it to feel smart. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to implement more clever things.
Ja, für Three Kingdoms kommt nichts mehr.
An update that will be coming in 8.1, which is a new a way of priorities changing. So all of that kind of stuff helps when it's layered on. I should have started with this question because it's super relevant to the actual stream we just did, which is, does working on multiple projects reduce focus? Why don't we just have everyone in the building working on the same thing?
Well, let's see. It doesn't reduce. Well, that's a nuanced question.
Yeah.
So, Google schreibt 40k 2028, denke ich.
Everywhere at once. We do have people who are dedicated to various projects. The way the games are made is that games are in various levels of production.
Ich denke schon nächstes Jahr,
You don't
aber
necessarily need the same people at the beginning as you do in the middle of production or near the end, and that we need to also
nicht gleich im ersten Quartal.
We also, you know, so we have the ability to move people around, helps make our production more efficient. Also, if we were just a 100% staff, a complete team who could build a thing end to end, what you would have is that you may have places for no one nowhere to go. They're just sitting there not being able to do work. So we have to find that balance between making sure we have the right number of employees in the building who can always be working and be productive and also not be wasteful, and also have enough projects going at once that we can kind of, you know, release game over game over game. You know, it's the intent that we're trying to release a game, you know, every several years. You know, that's the desire for the business. Of course, it has to be good first. So the bottom line is it's not a loss of focus. It's a strategic decision to manage our people.
That is, I can see people as well. They are understand that I've maybe just given all of the hardball questions to you, and everyone else got, how are you doing? And you're getting, why are you putting people on different projects? So the next question is something that actually I think a lot of our player base will relate to because they themselves have had to go through it. What's the biggest hurdle in getting a new player into Total War?
So our
sind das langweilige Fragen.
Strategy games in general, but our game is really hard to talk about. It's not. It's if you play a shooter like Call of Duty or something, it's like, well, it's conceptually for people it's easy. You just pick up a gun, you point it, and you fire. Our game has depth and complexity and nuance, and a lot of the joy that you get from playing a strategy game, particularly Total War, is sort of the many hours you play, spend time like manipulating your game in order to appeal to the things that you're interested in, and getting people through that hurdle is a big step. So I mean, to be fair, I think we've not done a very good job with our onboarding. I mean, we've tried. I think the prologue is probably our best effort for Warhammer 3, but you know, the secret, the sort of in the industry, the jargon for games is easy to play, hard to master, and we just don't have the easy to play part quite right. So we need to get that part better, and then I think, you know, I do think there are many people who would love strategy games if we just gave it to them in a way that they could more easily absorb it. But
I think what we've looked at is how to make the slope easier without making it easy, right? Without making the game feel easy. How can I get into the games industry? This is a question you get quite a lot. I
love that question. People find me on LinkedIn and they ask me this question, and I always answer because I think it feels like some big secret.
Unspektakuläre Frage, den Vizepräsidenten zu schonen, kritisiere nicht den König.
Clear-cut way.
Es liebe der König.
But I'd say probably the the most important aspect to trying to get in the industry, if you really want to be in the industry, must be a willingness to relocate. Because almost certainly where you live, there's not a game studio. Almost certainly. And if you are brand new to the industry and you've never done anything that's relevant, you're probably not going to get a job that's remote. Because you don't have the skills, you don't have the thing that needs to be offered to a company to incur the fact that you're farther away. My recommendation for people is QA. QA is always a really great entry point to get in. I know lots of people who've gotten into QA who've had like master's degrees in psychology or mathematics or anything else. Obviously, if you can go.
Oh, der hat so einen komischen Slang drauf.
Art, programming or any of those things, those are obvious ways to get in. But if you're coming into it from effectively nothing, and you want to get into like game design or those sorts of things, QA really is the secret. And just getting QA job anywhere is better than nowhere. So like even if you're targeting like a really huge studio in order to get a job in your favorite game, just find somewhere that will give you a job. And then the last piece of advice, particularly for those that want to do game design, is get into the modding community. Like really
So many people here from the total modding.
Totally. I mean, my whole career, I mean, I've been in the business now for 20 years, and the vast majority of my designer colleagues have all come from modding of some flavor. And when you mod, you get to learn how games are made, you get to then experiment.
Also die Mod-Unterstützung, die werden sie weiterhin gewährleisten.
So much of game design is really trying to understand human behavior and understand what does fun mean. And if you can spend time in your own free time learning that, when you do finally get a job and you get people who can mentor you, a lot of the language of understanding game development becomes much easier. But otherwise, QA, number one.
Fantastic, thank you. I have 2 more questions for you then, and they're pretty stonky. We see discussion a lot in the emails about where the game's moving, if we should be moving more towards a slower 4X game or a faster arcade game. Is there a franchise level view from you as to what our game's pacing is?
Yeah, so internally there's lots of internal
sind nicht so interessante Fragen.
Me and people on my direct team to define exactly what Total War is. That's not something I'm interested in doing, because I want Total War to be what it needs to be for the thing that we're building. So I want to make sure that when we start a project like Med3 or we start a project like 40,000, when we go into it, we're thinking about the basic structure and the way that Total War games are made. But I want the game to find itself. And so, if the game is better to be more arcadey and punchy and fast and zingy, then great. Or if the game is better to be slow and methodical and thoughtful and crunchy, then that's okay too. I don't want to define a defined franchise direction. But that being said, I do think it's important for the franchise to try to keep finding uniqueness and innovation, and to be exploring all those spaces. So I do think that 40,000 is very different from Med3. They're going to feel very different, despite the fact they're both Total War games, and I think that's a good thing.
Also es geht jetzt hier wirklich nur Total War Games allgemein.
Springs to my mind. There's a long-standing complaint that Total War is more fun early game than late game. What are the plans to tackle that?
This comes back to the
Jetzt geht es das Early Game und Late Game, wie man das interessanter machen möchte oder wie man damit umgeht.
We have a lot of work to do in order to think about player interactions and design intent and how we create fun experiences in all phases of the game. We have very expert game designers, but I think it's Total War as a franchise is something that has just been built on over and over and over again. Things just keep getting added on and on and on. And I think at some point we do, and I think right now with Total War Next, we are kind of coming back in some ways to first principles to ask ourselves like the important questions of why do we do this particular thing? A very silly question is like, why do we have unit cards as an example? Well, somebody came up with that decision ages ago, Do we now know why we do that? Is it important that we do that? Well, probably it is important that we do that.
Yeah.
But we should be asking all of those questions so that we can then eventually answer this one.
Yeah.
One other thing, though, that's completely unrelated to this about the get into the games industry. If you are an experienced game dev, we do have jobs. We are hiring.
I think they were putting a link in the chat.
Yeah, please.
Das sind alles so unschlüssige Antworten.
Fantastic. Well, that's all of the questions I had from the inbox. Also, I think we have time for. What I will do is I will put back the. After you.
Im Grunde versuchen sie es jedem recht zu machen.
I hope you were able to watch some of it. I don't know. You.
Finde ich ein bisschen merkwürdig hier, dass 40k im Juni erst wieder dran ist. Warmer Skulls Event ist eigentlich im Mai. Mal schauen.
You're probably busy doing a job.
No, I watched.
But a fantastic amount of stuff that we were able to show. I hope the community watching were able to enjoy it. It's a very different vibe we've gone for here. It's show and tell. Let us know what you thought. I've seen a lot of stuff in the chat as we were going up, but if you want another one of these, if you're interested in learning more about these, we've tried to be a bit more prescriptive in the dates and times that we've given. I think sometimes we can get called out as a little bit of coming soon, or it's going to, so we've tried to be very deliberate in letting you guys know when you'll be able to hear more and put some numbers on things so that you can understand. But otherwise, give us your feedback, give us your thoughts, and thank you so much for tuning in. Roger, thank you so much for coming on and letting me ask you the hardest questions I could find in the emails that were sent to you.
Send harder ones next time. That's okay.
We'll have a recap blog with a lot of this information perhaps next week. But otherwise, thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you at the next one. I am not going to immediately end the stream like I usually do because I've managed to wangle getting the end times audio at full volume as our stream end music. So I'm going to let that play because it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you to all my guests, and we'll see you next time.
So, der Tweety-Rabe schreibt noch. Hab mal nachgeschaut wegen Schiffskämpfe Medieval 3. Also die Aussage war, es ist keine Frage, ob sie kommen, sondern wann. Also sie haben es vor, aber wollen sich erstmal auf das Kein-Spiel konzentrieren. Okay. Ja, das hatte ich doch nicht so wirklich mitbekommen, ne? Ja, damit ist der Event-Stream beendet. Ich bedanke mich bei euch fürs Zuschauen. Habt ihr jetzt noch irgendwelche Fragen? Später Morassi. Die Chaosportale sind da. Aber irgendwie haben die mir bisher nicht so wirklich geholfen. Ja. Und Sonntag wieder mit Meister Micha. Der macht jetzt noch seine Maifeier da. Grüße an Micha, falls du noch da bist. Dann bis heute Nacht. Ja, dann würde ich auch mal sagen, Horrido, Dankeschön fürs Reinschauen. Und dann sehen wir uns heute Abend wieder.
vengeance, crunched and spread. We march into the afterlife. Rust and vengeance, crunched and spread. We march into the afterlife. Rust and vengeance, crunched and spread. We march into the afterlife. Rust and vengeance.